All right. Welcome to another edition of the New Breed Podcast. Not the only, not the first, but I argue the world's best podcast, concentrating on the topic of nu metal. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, what's going on?
What's up?
And we have a special guest joining us tonight, the admin of the Nu-Metal Sub-Reddit, Mr. Shawn Robbins. Shawn, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Glad to have you. We always love guests, and so then there's three people drunkenly rambling about nu metal late on Saturday night, as opposed to just me and Tim.
Where exactly are you at again?
I'm out of St. Louis right now.
Okay.
I've moved all over. So.
Okay. Where are you originally from?
New York. I grew up in New York. Did a lot. It's kind of about 45 minutes north of the city. So like Poughkeepsie, Beacon area.
Oh, okay. The Hudson Valley. Okay.
Hudson Valley. There you go. Yeah.
There you go. Yep. So Shawn, I guess we'll start it off with asking you some questions. So, we were talking before we started recording about how you just spun up a subreddit and then it just kind of grew legs and went from there. How did all that come about? Was it just?
I'm not gonna take credit like starting the subreddit. It was one of those things where like I think I was on a nostalgia kick for a while, and then I was like, I wonder if there's a Nu-Metal subreddit and what the kind of stuff they were posting. I would go on, and people would post maybe like one or two a day, and it kind of had this old school Limp Bizkit banner, and it didn't really have like the Reddit snooze. I'm talking about the little alien guys. Didn't have that. So it kind of come in and out, and every once in a while I would post like some old school video. And there were some regulars on there that are still around that would kind of post like, this is cool. I've heard of them. I've got the CD. I got it on eBay, so on and so forth. We kind of ping pong some ideas and reminisce about like when we might have seen them live. And then I just started going like, man, there's these bands coming out right now that are like really putting nu metal on the map. And there's like, I feel like this place could really be pumping because there's a lot. Nu metal's always had like characters. We've always had like, we were on there was a good chunk of the millennium where we were some of the most popular music. So I feel like we deserve a little bit better of a subreddit. So I started like asking the admins there, could we get like an AMA, like Ask Me Anything with a band? Mm-hmm. We got Kitty, and I wasn't an admin there yet. We kind of worked together to make that happen. And then I was really pushing for Jared from Head PE. Like really pushing for it. And all of a sudden I get an email that says, you're a moderator of our nu metal now. And I'm like, I must have annoyed the shit out of them to where they're just like, fuck it, just fine. Here's just the steering wheel. Take it. Leave us alone. And I was like, oh, okay, good. So I'm right away make a banner. I just kind of like redo everything. I add like related subreddits, and I immediately contact Jared right off the bat and get the AMA with him. And then from there, it just was just like, I just started talking to different users. I was like, what do you want? What kind of stuff do you want in there and everything like that? And we started doing polls. We started like bringing in, people started doing covers. And then all of a sudden the place just like organically, especially after COVID, we started growing a user base and started getting regulars. And now it is what it is. And I'm super proud of it right now.
It is, and Tim and I were joking about it. We talked about doing a nu metal show for years, and it did to your point. Much like you, it took COVID to finally get it off the ground because we were locked in the house. I said, "Fuck it, Tim, let's drink a little bit on a Saturday and get going." There is sort of a weird renaissance of nu metal I've noticed. And I chalk it up to the kids who grew up where it wasn't a dirty term are now making bands themselves. Yeah. And like you said, there are a lot of bands repping that sound, either overtly or inadvertently. That and the fact that those of us that remember that type of music, we've reached early middle age, so we have a little bit of disposable income, so you can go like eBay diving. I saw some guy on some Facebook group today. He was so happy he pulled down like the Orgy Blue Monday CD single, and I was like, man, this is no joke now. People are really getting into it.
And then you get on Discogs and eBay, and they're $30-$50.
Yeah. So it's like, shit. I guess we've kind of just hit it. It's not even a revival. It's more of just, it's come back into the cultural zeitgeist, right? It's an acknowledgement of this was a thing, and this was a really, to your point, some of the biggest bands in the turn of the millennium. The two biggest platinum selling bands from 99 into 2000 are The Prodigy and Limp Bizkit. Everybody take a deep breath and think about that for a second.
Yeah.
And then like Backstreet Boys and shit like that. You know?
Right.
It's funny, man.
I came across on a bunch of nu metal Facebook groups, and some commenter, I wish I'd written it down who said it, actually made a remark which I thought was fairly insightful. He said, the people who are looking for this stuff, nobody looks for this stuff because they love it. It's typically a nostalgia thing, right? Like nobody is saying, you know what, that band Full Devil Jacket was fucking amazing and we got to track it down. No, it's somebody who remembers seeing them open for Soulfly on some random tour and was like, you know what, I kind of want to check that out again because I don't remember if it was good or not.
Yeah.
That's been happening to me for months now. Like I find so many bands off the Reddit page, and it's just like, holy shit, I forgot about this band, or I've never heard this band. It's just like now my Apple Music is just like all my recently added stuff is just all nu metal. Just like all I listen to now. It's crazy.
We were joking on the Ill Street News show that Tim does. I pulled up my last FM to see what I listened to most this year, and 156 Silence was first, Napalm Death was second, System of a Down was third.
Sure, yeah.
All the homework we had to do with Adam from Orthodox doing those deep dives. I'm like, oh my God, I've listened to System of a Down like 300 something times this year. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I wish mine was negative 300.
That was not a fun one for Tim. So you guys have done AMAs, right, Shawn? Like you've actually gotten out there and gotten some I dare say celebrity representation for what you're for the page.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that we kind of jumped on social media, and that's kind of helped out a little bit too, because then you kind of get like, you find out who's still kind of active, and then we've had to really dig into Facebook and research hardcore for bands that like I really wanted to hear from. The guy from Factory 81, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Nate Wallace of Factory 81.
He's a singer, Detroit band, right?
Detroit band, yeah. And they made that record, right? And then poof, disappeared, right? And then the two guys from the band, they started Minus Knives, which is a pretty decent band if you very kind of 30 Seconds to Mars-ish kind of type stuff. But then Nate was just gone. So I went on, like you said, like a nu metal Facebook group, and I was like, almost put up like a Baby Huey, like milk, like they just kind of, have you seen this singer? Like, where is he at? And then people were just like, yeah, he cuts my hair, and like, oh, he's like a software guy, and
that's wild.
He's got a kid and he's got a family and he does some electronic music. So someone gave me his profile and I messaged him, and I didn't hear from him for a while. And then I was like, well, all right, well, we chased that down. That was, we'll just have the album discussion without him. And not the first time this has happened. I've reached out to so many bands that just straight up haven't answered me back. And then he just hit me up and he's just kind of like, sounds like fun. And I was like, oh shit. So,
that's wild.
God. Because it was one of those guys that was like, especially that record, because I grew up with that record. It came out around senior year while I was in high school, and then I just remember it being kind of, it wasn't like anything else that was out there at the time. So it was just, you kind of want to pick his brain. Why is the album not on Spotify or Apple Music? Well, what happened to the second record? Like, why did you guys disband? Like, what happened to that? They were so low tier on the nu metal spectrum, because they were always opening for Slipknot, Kitty, and all those other guys, that you just were like, there were so many unanswered questions. So when we finally got to talk to him and be like, where's the album out? And he's just like, they're with, the record label, and they're kind of like holding on to it. I'll get back to you on that. And like, what was this song about? All this kind of stuff. What were you drawing at? And it was kind of nice that he wasn't kind of like, oh, it's an old time, I like to not talk about that. He was very transparent. It was really, I think it was one of my favorites, because of the fact that, like, here's this guy who went under for so long and is so okay with talking about those times.
Facebook is one of those amazing, as terrible as the internet is, in the aggregate, right? There are some serendipitous encounters that come out like that. I was a part of a different hardcore group, and the two guys who do the Deathscography. They do it's album by album in the Death Wish catalog. And the one guy posted and said, does anybody know such and such person from the band Cast Aside, which is that straight edge band coming out of Richmond? And the first comment was some dude who's like, yeah, I played guitar for them for like a decade. Do you want to like, here, let me DM you and we'll get together. Right. So like Facebook makes those sort of serendipitous, like you had, like those sort of serendipitous, hey, I'm just kind of reaching out, grasping at straws here. Is there anybody around? And it makes it possible. It makes the world smaller in a, not necessarily a great way. The other thing is, you talk about Factor 81, right? And Tim and I have talked about this before. There are a lot of second and third tier nu metal bands, right? Second and third wave, I should say, not even tier, where labels were going out and just signing whatever they thought sounded in that milieu. And there were some very unique bands that sadly got lost in the shuffle because it was the thing. So there was so much of it. You almost it almost like washed over you to the point where it was like, you know what, I lost stuff because there was so much of it at the same time that you couldn't even keep up. And the same thing happened, Tim and I just did a dive on Ministry. Same thing happened with industrial, because there were a lot of great industrial bands that kind of got lost by the wayside because everybody was looking for the next Nine Inch Nails.
They saw what Nine Inch Nails was doing. They were like, we want that. And they were just suck up every, band that they could, no matter how good they were.
Who's for, as far as AMAs go, Shawn, who's your white whale? Who's the one your white whale?
I know it's not realistic, but I would like to get some of the Slipknot and Korn guys. But I would say our white whale. I think maybe Darren from System of a Down, because I think he's a talker. And I know that if we were to get him on, we'd be like, look, man, what's really the problem?
Yep.
Like, just straight up right now in front of all of us. And I don't think he would be just kind of like, talk about it. I think he'd be like, all right, here's the deal. And they talk about it all the time, too. I don't think it's that old news. But he's one of those guys. And I think those guys are kind of I don't know how they think of nu metal or just the label of nu metal. So I don't know how quickly they'd just be like, oh, sure, I'll do it.
Right.
But I know that if we were to get him, that would be that. I think aside from him, right now, let me just look at the list. I actually have a list of guys I need to contact.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Let's see. I have a word.
Yeah, we have an ever-growing list as well.
Yeah.
We have some 20-year anniversary albums coming up, so I've been reaching out to some bands. And, I don't know about a white whale, but I want to get Max from 40 Below Summer.
A band that's not talked about enough.
No, not at all.
I think he's back on the map. He just got on social media. He just a few months ago got on Twitter and Instagram. Basically just posts pictures of his dog, but he's been recording. So he's a guy, though. I feel like he's a talker. I feel like he would be really fun to back off, ping pong, a lot of stuff on. Let's see. I mean, Digimortal from Fear Factory turns 20 on April 24th.
There's a lot that turned 20 this year, right? I mean, isn't what is this, 2001? So this is, the second Spine Shank, right? Height of Callousness, I think, is 20 this year. I think.
No, Height of Callousness was last year.
Last year.
We just did their discussion last year. But some big ones this, The War of Art, American Head Charge.
Okay.
Flaw Through the Eyes turns 20. What's the ones that are, Toxicity turns 20. Iowa turns 20.
Wow.
And a shit ton. And then of course you got your ones that Drowning Pools debut. Machine by Static X turns 20. So so many.
Yeah, we always say too, like, I wish we could get this person. All you got to do is just you hit them up. They say no. At least you tried.
Yeah. I think I would really like to talk to fucking Fred Durst. I really would.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would talk about Limp Bizkit at all. I think I would talk about everything around Limp Bizkit, but I'd like to talk to him. Love to talk to Wes Borland. I'd love to get Pete from Ultra Spank You know, because I love that first album.
We tried getting Pete, but he would. There's no one was answering any
He's
of our.
what did they go on to do, Shawn? Was it low pro, lo-fi?
Low pro, and then
low
he
pro.
has a ton of side projects.
Okay.
He's got at least 4 other side projects where he's like either doing solo or like a trip hop group or something. But he's busy.
Okay.
I think I think one big for me right now, and a lot of people are probably going to be like, "Ooh, why?" I think Jay Gordon from Orgy would be big because they were kind of lumped into nu metal, but a lot of people consider it not nu metal. But I would love to get his point of view on like them being that band in a crew of nu metal bands. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like they were, family values and all that shit.
Yeah, they
like,
were lumped in, but not really part of that world. Yeah, yeah.
And that's a fucking great. That's a great. Them 3 records are great.
They're great, and I think now, from what I can tell, it's kind of Jay's project at this point.
Yeah.
But I think Orgy's success stems from Jonathan's obsession with like Depeche Mode and New Order and all that stuff. And he's like, he saw these guys and he's just like, I have the opportunity now to put these guys on the map. And the only way I can do that, like them and Videodrone and Dead Sea, let's shove them into the zeitgeist, let's put them out there. And then people ate them up. But once that Blue Monday single came out, went nuts.
And also, I think they appealed to the women back then too, from the look and all that stuff. So
the makeup, there was something kind of like Poison about them.
Yeah. Good reference. Videodrone. They opened the Korn. It was a Korn Rob Zombie, right, in '99. They opened the Follow the Leader tour. What was their original band name that they went back to? It wasn't Rich Kids on LSD. What was it?
Cradle of Thorns.
Cradle of Thorns. That was it.
Oh, there, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, those guys had their own kind of specific dark synth sound. The sound that's coming out now with all these kind of like retro synth bands and everything, Cradle of Thorns and Videodrone would be fucking nailing it right now. And they were so way ahead of their time. And because if you listen to those old records, they're like, wow, like I feel like this could be like in Coachella or something like that.
Yeah.
People, hipsters would be going crazy over them. But at the time, they were just going like, they're listening to old 80s dark synth albums by like Depeche Mode and what's the other other one I'm thinking of, Sisters of Mercy and stuff like that. So
yeah, they were too far ahead of their time. They were too early, right? Because Tim and I were just talking about on the Ill Street show. I mean, I played Trevor Something, and then Tim played Soft Kill, right? And we talked about stuff like Gunship, and we talked about Kavinsky and all those guys. That sound is here, and it's here to stay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it ain't going nowhere. I mean, to me, that's a big resurgence as well, because there was bands in the early 90s that were trying to get back into that sound, and it just fell down because you started getting grunge and you started getting all that stuff coming in. So now it's, everybody can do music at home on their keyboard. So now you get more of that kind of stuff. I love it, man. I think COVID is a blessing and a curse at the same time right now, because look, we started the show. We're talking to people like you about all this stuff. I mean, people are doing a lot more shit now. I mean, because if there wasn't COVID right now, would we be doing this on a Saturday night? Probably not.
Probably not.
I don't know.
So I love it. I mean, fuck it. I mean, sorry to say that to people that are suffering. I know people are suffering, but I think
there has been a little bit of a silver lining. I just, speaking of people keeping busy, Tim, I just saw, I was on Instagram and I saw Chamber just posted that they're already writing and recording album number 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
So they just put out their first album. It was great. They couldn't tour off it. They played like one show, and now they're getting ready to do album number 2. I think a lot of bands, you're going to see that out of a lot of bands.
Yeah.
Where they're just going to say, fuck it. We got time. We might as well just go back in the studio, start writing, and see what comes out.
Definitely. So Shawn, that like, speaking of like metalcore and hardcore and all that stuff, do you listen to that type of stuff as well?
Yeah, I'm not so much metalcore, and I don't know whether that it just doesn't resonate with me as much as nu metal does. Yeah. I think I felt like I kind of skipped it almost. Like I really hit on, because I grew up with hardcore, going to hardcore shows, grew up going to those nu metal shows, and then as like it was almost like as when Ozfest started to make that turn where they were putting in like Shadows Fall, Every Time I Die, all those
Early
guys
aughts,
on the headline, all that kind of stuff. You saw kind of almost the ugly side of it, which was almost the same thing that you were talking about with nu-metal, where you're like, now like Roadrunner's like signing everybody and like trying to bring everyone in. And you're like, oh crap, I need to like get back in my hole. I've seen this before. I'm gonna go I'm gonna try to find something else. I'm gonna find the dirty, nasty stuff and not this overproduced shit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
So when did you start coming into the nu-metal scene? Like how old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay, so you're our age then. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were basically, 94, 95 when Korn was coming up and all that shit. Okay. Good shit. So it's good to have it's good that you're that age, because then we're all in the same, vicinity of finding it and stuff,
What's funny about it now is like with the subreddit, and then we kind of have like a separate like Discord that we ever chat, and I kind of ping pong ideas off the guys. A lot of those guys are kids.
Yep.
Yeah, it's wild.
And I don't know it until like halfway through. I'm like, what? Really? And they're like, I wasn't born yet when that album came out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like we talk to people that are like, oh, I started listening to Korn on like Untouchables, and it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I didn't even hear Follow the Leader until like last year. It's like
we had a recording that we had to cancel because I had something family related come up, but we were going to sit down with Adam from Orthodox and Matt from Boundaries, and we were going to talk about the third Slipknot album, which was their in opening exposure to Slipknot. And Tim and I were talking, because we do our homework, we listened to the album a couple times beforehand, and I'm like, Tim, this kind of sucks. Right? It's not me. Like, we need these young guys to explain to us, like, what it was to them when they encountered it. Because to me, I go back to Iowa and I go back to the self-titled. I'm like, this is kind of like not good.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. No, like
that was their flop record.
When that self-titled came out, I was just like, I remember it was like when people describe when Van Halen came out when they were kids, and they were just kind of like, everyone was playing it out of their fucking trunks, all that kind of stuff. Slipknot album came out. That's what it was when I was a kid. We would go out into the high school parking lot. Everyone would have their freaking trunks open. All of a sudden, fucking Wait and Bleed would be blaring out, and wearing the jumpsuits and wearing the pants. And you go see them live, and you thought you were at like CBGB's, and people are fucking spitting, and there's blood, and there's all this kind of stuff. So when you hear that third album, you're just kind of like, no.
Yeah, it was the radio song from the second album, Left Behind, just amplified. Shawn, you grew up in the Hudson Valley. Do you remember the college radio station WSOU?
I did. I used to request songs on that.
Okay. The reason I bring that up is the first time I heard Sick, I was driving around and they played that, and this is before cell phones, right? This is late 90s. I actually pulled over and found a fucking payphone and called the studio and said, who was that you just played? Because awesome. That was amazing. And they were like, oh, that's a band Slipknot, they're on Roadrunner, blah, blah, blah. And I want to say it was Jen, what's her name, was the DJ. I actually went right to Sam Goody in the Garden State Plaza right afterwards. And I'm like, all right, I got to find this CD. I got to buy it because I was completely blown away, right? I mean, the third album I want to hear from Adam and Matt what their experience was, because that doesn't even come close to me, as far as I'm concerned.
No,
right?
It doesn't even come close to Iowa. I mean, that is just a brutal record. You know what I mean? And in the third one, you're just like, skip.
So
it was a chore to listen to it. You know?
Let me ask you this, Shawn. What's the most obscure nu-metal band that you actually remember? That you can actually like picture a couple of like maybe the album cover, remember a couple of songs, and going, man, this is one of those things I hope they don't resurrect.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. There was a phase of nu-metal that I so glad never took off, which was like almost like it went into Cottonmouth Kings territory.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? There was a band called Dislocated Styles, and they were kind of like, it would start with like smoking a bong, and it'd be like, and they're like rapping back and forth, and you could almost feel yourself making fun of yourself for listening to it. You're just kind of like, you fucking, what the hell is wrong with you? Why aren't you stopping this right now? And that was the moment, or I I don't think anyone tried to redo what Crazy Town was doing.
Ugh, garbage.
Yo, I'm sorry, man. That first album, you get a couple of beers in me, I can sing almost every song on that album. I really
And
do
it's a
fucking
fun,
enjoy
and
it.
that was the part of fun nu metal that I can't condescend too much for. You know what I mean? And I think that was like a special part of nu metal that made, you know, why there's so many people like Limp Bizkit, so many people like bands that are kind of like cut loose, fuck everybody, we're partying tonight,
Yeah.
kind of like type stuff. But I felt like you had to kind of have a certain formula. You had to hit the right notes in order to achieve that, which is why that Butterfly record took off so well. There wasn't
the self-seriousness in nu metal that there is in hardcore, and even to an extent certain parts of heavy metal, right, where they take themselves so seriously, where nu metal was kind of like, yeah, we know we're in on the gag with you, but we're gonna have a good time. And that was what made it so memorable.
Yeah, you needed a contrast to your Korns, and even Korn was having fun, to your Slipknots in a way. But Slipknots, you know, still, they were in costume. They were like, this is our persona and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like we need that now more, especially with Code Orange. When you look at a Code Orange promo pic, you're like, where's the opposite of this? Because I enjoy this, but I'm gonna need a little balance, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think going back to your original question, yeah, it was just like I feel like when the pendulum swung too far past the Crazy Town into Dislocated Styles, I was like, I'm off this boat.
Yeah, I remember the last time I went to Ozfest, it was I think I got a free ticket from pre-ordering Iowa.
I got Ozfest story for you too when you're done.
And it was like Drowning Pool, Union Underground, like Taproot, that late second into the third wave of stuff, and I was like, there's a couple really good bands here, and then Crazy Town got on stage and they covered Refused, and it was kind of like,
oh no, I remember seeing
kind of repulsive, but okay, I'll go with it.
Yeah, that was the wrong band to do.
What's your Ozfest story?
So I was lucky enough to see Slipknot on the second stage. Back when they were doing Ozfest with Lamb of God and Sabbath and Slayer, all that kind of stuff. So that whole stage was the beginning of the metalcore. We're introducing new types of bands. We're stepping out of nu metal. We're putting in Every Time I Die and Lacuna Coil and all those guys.
And it was like what, Darkest Hour, Throwdown.
Darkest Hour was opening.
God forbid. Yep.
Jericho. Yep. And then they had this one band on there, and I don't know how long they were on there for. They were called Magnify. Magna and then hyphen
FI. Yeah.
Yeah. So they get on stage and they look like they look like an emo band because they got the parted hair that kind of goes
swoop,
up,
the
swoop, and they immediately sound like Nickelback. And audience for that, like just radio silence through everybody, and everyone just starts booing, and one guy yells, "Play How You Remind Me!" Throws a water bottle at him. 3 songs in, and they're off stage. They're gone. They're just
they left on their own will.
Yeah. What's that?
So they left on their own will.
They left. I don't know whether they left on their own will. We were like in the back, trying to, down energy drinks so we could go for our next round in the pit. Like before.
Okay. I mean like they were like, fuck it, we're stepping off stage.
Yeah, absolutely. They were
okay.
Kind of like, we're not getting.
Which, I mean, I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny but there are a lot of bands who talk about, they paid their dues. Korn opened for Ozzy, Deftones opened for Pantera, and you kind of got to get up there and.
You got to get up there and rip it. You can't get.
I think you need to get up there, and your goal should be, I want to blow the fucking headliner off the stage.
Yep.
And that
take a water bottle to the face if you have to.
Yeah, that should be your intent as an opener. And I mean, I love the first 3 Hatebreed albums, but my biggest knock on Hatebreed is as they get older, they play it safe, and they never take anyone out who remotely has a chance of blasting them off the stage. And I would think, in order for, like, in my career, I try to surround myself. I do IT work. I want to surround myself with people who are smarter than me because it forces me to up my game.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, you hear, like, Every Time I Die said, well, the one last tour that they did, they took out Turnstile. They took out Vane because they said, look, Vane puts on a show. Turnstile puts on a show. They're going to force us to play better, because we're going to have to be worried about getting blown off the stage by these younger guys. Black Dahlia Murder, you know, Trevor always jokes about it. He takes these totally insane, obscure, artificial brain open for them one tour because he wants to get, you know, bring your A game and try and blow me up the stage. That's fucking awesome. And it's a better show for us in the audience as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
wild.
So let me ask you this. Compared to social media, like Facebook, Instagram, you know, all that shit, and then you bring Reddit in, where do you feel like Reddit is the better option to get what you're trying to get out there?
I think it invites that a little bit more of a controlled environment.
Okay.
To what otherwise would be some places that seem like the wheels have fallen off already. You know what I mean? So Facebook, yes. I've already like almost completely gone out of Facebook. I'm part of a writers group that I will go on. We'll discuss ideas, and then I'm off. And then I look at my notifications, and it's like 20 plus. I'm like, not even gonna fucking look at that. It's probably happy birthdays from back in March. Like I can't even. So, and then of course, like, you know, every once in a while I got to jump on and start like, you know, deep diving and searching for a lead singer for an obscure nu metal band. But, and then Instagram, there's a lot of nu metal stuff on Instagram. A lot of like, you got Has Sub, and you got Nu Metal Is Not Dead, and all these places that try to really dig at old school videos and post them and post discussion on them, but it's on your phone. You know,
which is not the same,
Which is not the same, and for us older guys, really, like when I'm sitting here and I'm like plugging away at this, I'm like, it's only a few minutes before I'm like, nope, can't, not doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Put the fucking thing down. Yep.
But I feel like Reddit, like I'm the moderator. I get to kind of like choose what comes in and out. I get to kind of see, you know, it doesn't turn into a mess. We don't try to gatekeep. We allow people to like post influential bands that were related to the genre, so we're not kind of like going, it's not like the metal subreddit where we're like, no nu metal, get this out of here. We're not trying to be snobby about our genre, because of all genres, we're the one who gets made fun of the most, you know, so we should have a little bit more of a thicker skin when it comes to this stuff, and it'll be a little more open, so we allow that. And then now we're approaching about 10,000 users. We kind of members we want to get. I have some other like moderators I want to come in who kind of have share the same vision, which is basically, this is like all, you know, everyone is invited, you know, as long as you're respectful and just don't cause bullshit. Just, you know,
which is funny, because some of the metal guys are like, oh, you nu metal nerds. It's like, you know how many fucking albums Limp Bizkit sold? You know how many albums Korn sold? You know how many band albums Drowning Pool sold, right? I mean, you can talk shit till you're blue in the face. These guys were touring sheds, outdoor arenas, and selling shit out. It's like, you know what? I mean, I remember going to see, I think the last big nu metal show I saw was the Metal Alliance tour in 2001, which was Slipknot, System of a Down, Rammstein, Amen, American Head Charge. Like, that's some of the last big nu metal show, and it was fucking sold out. Spectrum in Philly, it was sold out. It was packed.
Yeah.
So talk all the shit you want, you obscure metal nerds with your battle jackets and all that, which I'm a big fan, but there was something in the water, and those guys got big off it. You got to give them credit where credit is due.
Yeah. And how many of them kids in them metal bands now are going to the nu metal route? A lot.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. I mean, we talk to people
too.
Yeah, like on my other podcast, like they're like, oh, I'll be like, yeah, I do another podcast, blah, blah. Oh, what's it about? Nu metal. Oh, dude, you got to get me on that. It's like, wait a minute. Oh, you like nu metal? Yeah, I fucking love nu metal. It's like, I knew it. There's just so many people that talk shit, but then like 3 of their band members are like, fuck that. I love Slipknot. Like, I write so riffs after that.
I keep going back to that interview that Jeremy Boehm from Touche Amore did, where he talked about how hardcore bands, when they reach a certain size, in order to keep growing, they need to make the nu metal turn.
Yep.
And he said, and his joke was, you know, everybody in the aggregate will make fun of nu metal outright. You say that word in a hardcore pit, and like, you know, somebody in my running joke, Shawn, was, if you go into your bathroom, turn the lights out and light a candle, and you say nu metal in the mirror 5 times, Joe Hardcore shows up with a Cold Chamber shirt on and he punches you in the face. Like, that's my running joke, right? So there's an outright cultural derision for nu metal. But yet, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like there's so many people that are such big fans of it. The sound made an impact. It's like, really, like, get the fuck out of here. Get off your high horse, right? Come on. It was a fun time. It was a fun time.
It was a fun time. Yeah.
Now, what do you think the resurgence is from? I mean, I know it's not like in the year 2020, it wasn't like, holy shit, there's this big resurgence. I kind of look back and it was like starting in 2017-ish to me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think accounted for that? Like just people getting bored with what they were doing in like, say, like a hardcore band or something. And then they're just like, hey, I remember when I used to love nu metal. And what do you think like made all this start to come back? Because to me right now, it's huge. I mean, there's so many bands coming out that are actually very good.
I think it's what they're growing up with, maybe, because a lot of these guys that are playing this music now grew up listening to that music. And like what we were talking about with Gunship and all those that 80s tunes.
Yeah.
In the 90s, they tried to bring it back too, but it didn't happen because it was too soon, you know? And then you had bands, same thing, that were trying to bring nu metal in the late 2000s. You had like Index Case and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're like, too soon. It's still fresh. Like it was dead a few years ago. We still need time to heal. Now you have people who are growing up with Korn, who are growing up with Linkin Park, who are growing up with Slipknot, and it's in the bloodline. It's in their DNA now. And the only way that they can express that music that influenced them is by getting with other people that resonated with them. And they go out there and they're like, all right, I want to make sure we don't sound exactly like these bands, but man, oh man, I felt something when I heard like these In the End and Wait and Bleed and, Got the Life, and putting it out there and translating it to their own with modern production, with also the other bands that they're listening to now, like Code Orange, and then also remembering like Avenged Sevenfold and stuff like that, and just kind of puzzle piecing it all together, and then you get these guys, Tetrarch and Tala and our boy Zone Zero.
Yeah. So basically you think it's kids that are, say, 10, 15 years younger than us that just got into it kind of, and they're okay. That's a good point. And that's something I should have thought of. And me being old and, I just didn't think of it that way, but that's a great point.
I mean, there's this band Flashback that I really like, and
dude, so fucking good.
They're so good.
The Canadian guys, right?
The Canadian guys, and they have it down to the artwork.
yeah.
Videos, and they're all in. They're not just kind of like picking out certain pieces. They're going like, no. And I message them every once in a while, and I'm like, man, this sounds like an obscure UCD I found at Circuit City, and I played it, and nobody knows who they are, and I'm listening to it. I feel like the only person in the world right now.
Yep.
And he's like, that's exactly what we're trying to fucking do. We're trying to like, we're not trying to do that the TRL nu metal. We're trying to bring this kind of like I downloaded this off Napster, and this isn't Deftones. This is something else.
Yeah. It's funny you say that.
The old days where it would say the Deftones and it wasn't the Deftones.
They're like, wait a minute, this is Relative Ash.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because when I interviewed Nate from Stepping Stone and Flashback, I was like, dude, you guys even got the album cover down to like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, like just like what you said. He's like, yep, that's what we went for. I'm like, you fucking nailed it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking perfect. And they're actually going to come on here when their new record comes out. So we're going to, the whole band's going to come on. So it's going to be like 7 of us talking about nu metal. It's going to be great.
It's going to be pretty wild.
But yeah, Nate's a cool dude, man.
He sings for Stepping Stone, but plays guitar and Flashback, right?
No, he sings for Flashback as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Stepping Stone was one of those albums I completely forgot came out this year. I mean, it was
good
amazing.
Stuff.
And
good stuff.
Tim, I'm pissed that we forgot that Ether album came out this year.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big Mean Pete fanboy. I love everything he does. I'm really kind of pissed that would have made my fucking list. I'm pissed that I forgot about it.
Crazy, man.
It's impossible to keep up. So, Shawn, you recently just ran, what was it, the Essential albums?
We did, yes.
Nu-Metal's top 50 essential albums. Let's if you don't mind, let's take a walk through those and see what and this and to give a little bit of background to the listeners, this is something where everybody got to go in and vote, right? You got to upvote what you thought was essential, and then you collated the results.
Yeah, and I would like to thank you guys for kind of spreading it out there too.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, dude, absolutely, man.
People to like, so like I looked at all the other metal subreddits. Everyone had kind of like a essential 50 to pick from, or like if metal like had stoner and black metal and thrash metal, which one? So like we need ours that we picked out ourselves as a community and specifically said these are the ones that everyone should listen to, and then once you've wiped that list clean, come back and then talk to us.
Well, hey, if you don't mind, I have the whole list printed here if you want to go through it.
I got it right in front of me. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. I mean, if you want to read them off, or I can, whatever you want to do. Don't matter to me, man.
Number one, Slipknot. Self-titled.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You want to start at one? All right. Let me get to that.
Do we want to go the in front, or do you want to go from behind?
I honestly think go from the number one down, because it's really going to get interesting once you get past like 10 or 12, because that's where I want to see where people are like, where does Mudvayne rank? You know what I mean? In comparison, like, that's where it's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So you said Slipknot with their self-title was number one.
Yes.
Which is, to me, I'm kind of surprised, because I kind of felt like it would be a Korn record, or like maybe a Limp Bizkit record, a System of a Down record, but I was very surprised when I seen this be number one. But hey, it's an amazing record, and it has its place. It should be there. So
I think between all you got the DJ scratching, you got the rapping, you got the mix of all these kind of genres. It was like I think I don't know if it's the perfect representation of the genre, but it's one that I'm okay putting at the hood. That's the horse of the, like, here's the first thing that hits you. That I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I love how, I'm sorry, Jay, not to call you off, but I love what you did about after some of the records, you would put like quotes from some of the members. I absolutely love that.
Oh yeah. I actually just entered 2 more just now.
Oh, did you?
Like before we were talking, yeah.
Because the Slipknot one, it says, like, the one guy says, the whole record makes me wish I had another shot at being 16 so I could pass out drunk somewhere after setting my high school on fire. Like, that's fucking perfect. It's perfect.
I think after I saw that, I was like, I need to make sure that goes someplace.
Yeah, it's great, man.
We can't lose that one. Well, I guess though, if you think about it, it does kind of make sense, because I look at the bookends of nu metal. The beginning is Korn's self-titled, and the end is Slipknot's self-titled. Right? To me, that's the bookends of nu metal. Right? This is the first band that pioneered, that basically opened the door for the genre, and the final like apotheosis of that genre was Slipknot's self-titled. Right? That was completely new. It blew the doors off everybody, and everything after that was never going to compare. So I guess that kind of does make sense, because it's also, I mean, how many years difference was it? 5-6 years difference between 6 years between the two. I mean, almost, you're tipping close to another generation. So I get it.
Yeah. And they're still going strong, And that's a testament to not only the genre, but like the band itself.
Definitely. All right. Number 2, Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory.
So like behind the scenes, that almost made first. I would say it was a day away from staying at first place. And then somewhere down the line, some Slipknot fans got in there and upvoted it just in time before.
Okay, so before the final votes came in, Linkin Park was one.
Quick, go in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, and that one I wasn't surprised if that was gonna make it because of the fanfare. That album was stratospheric when that thing came out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I mean, even if you take away the whole nu metal banner, right? Take away that badge. Those guys wrote some quality radio songs. Like what is it, 10 tracks on an album, 11? You can listen to all 11 and go, I can see every single one of these in either on TV, in a commercial, or on the radio. And that says something for a band first album out the gate, right? That says something.
There was their 20th anniversary this year, and we went back, I always listen to the album before we start the 20th album discussion. And after it was over, I was like, that's it. I feel like I just watched a really good movie, and it's like over already. Like, I'm just kind of like, holy shit, every song on there was a banger. Like every song was just made to just explode out the door. And I was like, holy shit. No wonder like they put out like a big box set with all the other cuts and stuff like that. Because after you listen to it, you're like, I want to hear more out of this. These sound like they're hungry.
Yeah, it's a transcending record. I mean, it's one of them records that a lot of times 3 out of like 5 people are like, yeah, I like that record. It's like, shit, I wasn't expecting that, but it's so catchy.
Yeah.
And it's so well written that it's hard not to like.
Yeah.
I went into some completely unrelated Discord channel I'm on, and I said, I have a confession to make.
Already off the bat with that.
Yeah. I said, I have a confession to make. I fucking love Limp Bizkit. And the first response was somebody said, yo, Linkin Park put out some bangers in the late 90s. And I was like, holy shit, here we go. This conversation is going to go down a weird rabbit hole. Yeah, it is. It's a great album. I compare that to, I'm going to make a weird sort of comparison. Moby, Play, Prodigy, Fat of the Land, where 10 songs on an album, 6 or 7 of them you will almost 90% of the population from our age group will instantaneously recognize. Absolutely. Either as a commercial and a movie or just through being on the radio.
And we're talking about a genre that people would otherwise never ever try to get into, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Like there was trip hop and electronic. You listen to early Moby records, you're like, no, this isn't for everybody. And like with Linkin Park, it was like the Pixar of nu metal. You were like, anybody could listen to this.
Yeah.
And be singing along. And then
I got to write that down. The Pixar of nu metal. That's a good one. That's another t-shirt we got to do, Tim, along with,
there you go.
What was it? It's not nu metal. It's hard alternative.
Yep.
I've heard that before. This is a nu metal. This is alt metal.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Yeah.
All right. So number 3, Korn with their self-titled. I mean,
that was when I expected that to be number 1. All right.
Me too.
I was a little surprised with that to be number 3.
I thought it was automatic, honestly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at 3 though, I'm glad it's in the top 10 because if it wasn't, then people were smoking some wild shit. Because, I mean,
yeah,
how many people can say that's the first album that got them into the whole genre? Me, I mean, I'm right there.
Well, I think it was almost like this list is almost like saying like you need to listen to Empire, you need to watch Empire Strike Back before you can watch The New Hope. You know, you're just kind of like, oh, all right, like it doesn't make sense linearly, but if you want to know where it all began, it began here.
Yeah.
You want to see the blueprint, the foundation of it, but if you want to see like, what was it, 5 years down the line where it took them and where it hit its peak moment here, that's what it was. So I think with their debut, it was like, you want to see like the structure of it. This is it right here. They weren't copying anybody. This was them. No one knew what to do with them when they put
It's a world-changing record.
Yeah.
It changed not the world, but it changed an entire scene of music.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at Woodstock, 99. Like it was so many nu metal bands on that stage. And that place, was a destruction.
Got destroyed. Yeah. Yeah. I just watched that Limp Bizkit set not too long ago, and it was like they started and the sun was up, and when they finished the sun was down and there were bonfires and Fred surfing on plywood. I'm like, this must have been fucking bananas to be there and see that. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I would have loved that shit, man. All right, so number 4, we got Deftones with Around the Fur. And let me just start this off. The Deftones, they're not a nu metal band. I'm sorry. They're not.
We poked him. There we go.
And they're my favorite band of all time. They're just not a nu metal band. After Adrenaline, I don't consider them nu metal at all.
I think they definitely dropped off nu metal around at White Pony was when I feel like they just went sayonara. I think Around the Fur was when they just started to go like, all right. I mean, Around the Fur with that track with Max on it, that's that nu metal song. Like,
Head Up,
I'll agree with that. Yes, but I'll agree with that. You know what? I will agree with you with the White Pony. White Pony, if you consider that a nu metal record, there's something wrong.
No, that was where they went they went left. They went in an entirely different direction. They tried to do Chino's Sade and Depeche Mode influence showed up more. That's the album where, and Tim and I have talked about this, where I think Abe really comes into his own as a drummer. Like you can hear it where he is completely in the pocket He is. It is just he's completely on point. I don't know. I don't consider that nu metal at all.
No, not at all. But people will argue till they're blue about it, which is fine. I mean, let people, if they want, they can have it. That's fine with me, man. It doesn't bother me. That's just my opinion.
He says it doesn't bother him, but he brings it up every time. But
yeah, maybe it does actually. All right, number 5, Korn again with Follow the Leader.
Okay.
I looked through this entire list and I do not see Life is Peachy on here, and I'm very, very aggravated about that.
I want to say Life is Peachy came in late when someone put it on the list, and then I don't think I got enough traction. It was the one album that almost pushed Snot off the list, and I'm almost thankful. I'm kind of thankful for that because I wanted Snot.
Yeah.
So it was just like inching closer and closer and closer. I was just kind of like, I like that album, but Korn's already on there 3 times. Like if we can just get Snot on there, and then polls closed. I was like, whew. But yeah. But for Follow the Leader, I mean, what a band to become popular. Like if you really look at the surface of things, and how that album had any kind of like influence over the genre. I think I listened to one of your guys' podcasts where you recalled them being retired off TRL.
Yeah, TRL retired. What was it?
Got the Life.
Yeah, no, not Got the Life. The other one.
Freak on a Leash.
Freak on a Leash. Yeah.
Freak on a Leash. Yeah. And yeah, so that I think to listen to that album is to understand exactly where nu metal was at that time. That was at its freaking peak. Boom! Here we hit it. Here's look at these guys, these like,
weirdos
where you otherwise would meet anywhere else, and you'd be like, I need to not be in this dark alley right now. And but they're the most popular music in the world.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
How? Thank God.
Yeah, I've always wondered that, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a good point. Number 6, Mudvayne with LD50.
Yeah, I'll give that. I mean, even still, I mean, I went back and listened to that album a couple of weeks ago. The musicianship, right? Like, no offense to Greg, the guitarist. I mean, his stuff is good, but the rhythm section, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chad and Ryan, I mean, are absolutely fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to find my copy of the old, the live DVD they did in Peoria, the Homecoming show, where they have the drum cam behind him, where he can fucking play. Like, he can legitimately play. And then you had Howie tell us, we interviewed Howie Abrams, Sean, I don't know if you caught that episode, where he told us that when Jason Newsted left Metallica, they were debating reaching out to, what's his name from Mudvayne, Ryan. They were going to reach out to him and offer it to him. And he was like, nah, he actually said, nah, they made some back channel connections to see if he'd be interested. And apparently he came back and said, nah, I kind of want to see this thing through and do my own thing.
Yeah.
But he is amazingly talented. The drummer's amazingly talented. They made some great music. I'm sorry. They were awesome. The first time I saw them was Giant Stadium parking lot. Was that spring 2000 Tattoo the Earth, I think? And I was like, who are these fucking weirdos with the fucking costumes? Like, really? But then the music kicks in. They're like, okay, I get it.
Do you think he regrets the Metallica thing, though?
I doubt it. Honestly,
I doubt it. He's probably a session musician now, doing his own thing.
He's a progressive, jazz. He listens to Jaco Pastorius. He's sitting in his living room with, Indian style, listening to Buddhist
with the six string up in the air.
He's not going to be on a plane going to Antarctica to play a show. No, he wants to be in a Zen moment and doing his noodling on his bass. Yeah.
So two things you just made me think of there, Sean. I watched that Antarctica show on YouTube. It was actually pretty fucking cool.
It's fucking great.
It's cool when you see it.
It's just not him. Yeah.
When you made me think of him sitting cross-legged on the floor with the bass, Tim, I thought of Igor. The band that we played, my pick for top 10 of the year. What was it? Something in Spirituality, where Tim described it as, this is the music Max Cavalera listens to when he plays Minecraft with his son. Because it's so fucking zany. But
it's wild shit, man.
That's basically what I think, yeah.
It's a wild record. I do want to read this quote thing because I think it's great for this as well. This album showed the extremes of what nu metal could be, and still holds up 20 years later. And I agree with that. It's
100% great. We listened to that when it turned 20, and I was like, wow. what a fucking mammoth of a record.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
almost like over an hour long, and you're just like, man, after it's over, you're like, what a freaking ride. I feel like I just watched Requiem for a Dream. Like this thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The only movie I've ever seen in the theater where the movie ends and nobody did anything.
Yeah.
Like nobody moved, nobody clapped. Everybody just kind of sat there looking around like,
yeah.
What the hell just happened?
Is it over?
I'm going to watch that tonight now.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right, Shawn. That album is over an hour. I think it maxes out the CD's capacity. It's close to 70 minutes.
It's like 71 minutes, yeah.
But it's still, I mean, the songs are well written and they don't feel long. You're not sitting there going, Jesus, do we have another bridge? Is this another bridge? Like, when is the next song coming? It doesn't feel that way, but it's an enjoyable listen.
I love Chad's like two-headed dragon type singing. Because if you listen to it a few times over, you just like, you hear him. He wanted it to sound like it was like, you know, Two-Face was singing that record. He just was like echoing high, back and forth. And it's like no one, at the time, it felt like no one was actually doing that on an album. And it works. Everything was just one single-celled organism. It was just working together all as just this one thing. Beast, and it's just awesome. So it's such a great record.
Definitely. All right, number 7, System of a Down with Toxicity.
Okay.
I guess that goes above the self-titled because I think that's where they ironed it out. This is that
they came into their own on that one.
That first one is their like raw punk one, and this one's where like you listen. I mean, that whole album. You guys did that deep dive on them, like like was it?
Yeah.
You the tightest one?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the first album I thought was great. The second album, it was leaps and bounds above it. Like they honed in on exactly what they wanted to do, and they nailed it. And Rick Rubin, of all people, Rick fucking Rubin, right? Like, it's crazy.
Oh, you know what I forgot to read off the Korn thing? It said in 1994, Korn asked us if we're ready. Over 2 decades later, the answer remains yes. Like the dude Holiday Kirk, man, he wrote some great stuff on here, man.
Oh yeah, he hit me up. He was just kind of like, dude, can I write some stuff for it? I was just like, yeah, man, just throw me some what you got. And I'm super proud that of the stuff that he wrote.
He wrote a lot of cool shit. So number 8, 9, and 10, I'm gonna lump together because it's all the same band. So 8, you have Significant Other by Limp Bizkit. Mm-hmm. Number 9 is Chocolate Starfish. And then number 10 is $3 Bill Y'all. And I will say I'm so happy Significant Other came in first because that's their best record.
I would say if I was to introduce someone to Limp Bizkit, those are the order of albums I would tell them to listen to.
I agree.
And then tell them to stop right away.
I agree. I don't think $3 Bill holds up at all.
See, I'll fight this. I'll fight.
Oh, I
still think it's a great album.
But I think, I think after you've listened to their poppy stuff and then go back to that, that's where it's like you make a decision. Which Limp Bizkit do you like? Do you like Fred when he's as the Rocket and he's taken off as the most popular band on the planet Earth?
Mm-hmm.
You like it when he's on Chocolate Starfish where he's on stage with Christina Aguilera and he's consumed by his own ego and every other word on the album is fuck? Or do you want Jacksonville, Florida, dirty, nasty Limp Bizkit, which is $3 Bill?
Good point.
I think my favorite album of theirs is $3 Bill, which, by the way, Tim, I did reach out to my brother. He still has the Limp Bizkit Coach jacket that we bought back in '98. He's going to send it to me. So that'll make an appearance on some episode. I think, to me, that's my favorite album of theirs, but I think you're right. Significant Other is probably the easiest to get them into. We haven't deep dived on that, have we, Tim? We did the first album. We didn't do Significant Other. I went back and listened, and it's not bad. There's some good tracks on it. But I think, I really enjoy Chocolate Starfish because, like you said, Shawn, that's him leaning into that asshole persona. Like, he leaned into it, and he went, well, if you're going to tell me I'm a fucking douchebag and all I want to do is get chicks, here's rolling, and we're going to have hoes in the background, and I'm going to lean into it, and we're going to see what happens. And, they shot that video on the roof of the World Trade Center. Think about that for a second. That's totally fucking bananas.
That time, and then Wes has been doing some interviews lately about that time in his life, and he talks about that record. And you think that maybe like when that was all happening, everyone was kind of losing their minds and wanted to get out, but no, they were all very on board of what that record was going to be, which was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Watch this, assholes. And they did it. And like, I think someone on our subreddit recently, every once in a while we get someone on our subreddit who goes like, why do you guys like nu metal? And we're like, okay, here we go again.
Why the fuck are you here then?
You know, why are you here?
Seriously?
So someone said like, and one of the top comments was like, if you are still annoyed by Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit, he's played you. Like, he got you. Sorry.
He's taking up space in your head.
He's got
he
free
ain't
rent.
even paying fucking rent.
Exactly.
Yeah, 20 fucking years later, and he's still up there, and you're still wondering why.
I still stand by that EP they did with Ross Robinson, The Unquestionable Truth 1, is fucking awesome. It's nothing like they've done before, but I stand by it. And I am still waiting for Stampede the Disco Elephants. If they were touring next week, I'd go see them, and I would drag Tim with me. Speaking of Limp Bizkit, I don't know what the rest of this top 50 looks like, but the hottest take I saw was on some Nu-Metal Facebook group where somebody said Vanilla Ice's Hard to Swallow is a better album than Limp Bizkit's $3 Bill Y'all. And I tagged Tim, and I went, this is the spiciest take I've ever seen in my life. I think I just melted my phone. I got to walk away for a minute because I was like, hold on there, buddy.
Yeah.
I love it.
That is a fucking hot take.
I love the hot takes, man. We have to do an episode of just hot takes. That's funny, man. You want to move on to next one? Number 11, Cold Chamber with their self-titled. I feel like this record is one of the most hated records in the genre. I have no clue why.
I think it's because that it's so easy to make fun of. And I think at the time it was like the get-ups and the Cookie Monster vocals and Big Truck and all that kind of stuff. But I think what's lost in all that was the fact that they were having so much fucking fun doing what they were doing and didn't give a shit what anyone else thought. That was what made them so appealing, you know? And I think it was, I remember dating a girl who was a Cold Chamber, like, fanatic and, like, knew all the guys' names and birthdays and would celebrate them and all that kind of stuff. It was bananas. Wow. But the more I, think back to that and why she liked them so much, it was just their attitude. Their attitude showed on that record, you know?
Yeah.
Tim, was it you that I sent the screen cap to where somebody made a comment where they said Cold Chamber could have written Blind, but Korn never could have written Big Truck. And I'm like, I put my phone down for a minute. I was like staring off into space trying to wrap my head around that one. Like,
Cold Chamber is Nu Metal's Beatles, I guess.
I was like, man, I gotta walk away for a couple minutes, and this is another spicy take. There we go.
I guess if you go by riff wise, yes.
I guess, yeah.
Because everybody stole the Blind riff. People still steal it.
Yeah.
Well, the Blind riff is stolen from Scapegoat from Fear Factory.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's
Soulfly did it.
Yep.
Deftones did it.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
I mean, I could go on and on, man, but we don't have to do that. Next, System of Down with System of Down. So they're self-titled, number 12.
Yep.
I'm very surprised that wasn't before Toxicity, but again,
Toxicity was their big one, so it kind of makes sense, you know.
Yeah. Number 13, Korn with Issues. Yeah. Ugh. That's a hard one.
This was, wait a minute, Issues was what, 2000?
99.
I think it's where I felt like our user base was starting to show their age a little bit, where I felt like maybe those first 3 albums didn't resonate with them, but for whatever reason, Issues was when maybe they started to really come into the genre, you know?
Yeah, you're right. It's probably time. Somebody posted on Facebook on Untouchables was like fantastic, and I wrote Untouchables
unlistenable
question mark, more like unlistenable.
Yeah, I laughed so hard at that. Oh my god, dude, that was the best thing I read all week. Yeah, you said more like unlistenable in quotes, and I was dying at that, man. And he didn't even say anything back because he was just like, fuck.
He's like, oh, shit.
That's so good. Yeah, that's like the best burn of the week right there, dude. Yo, I literally forgot to message you and tell you about how hard I laughed at that, man. That's funny.
I was giggling hysterically. I'm like, dude, how can you like this? But whatever. Hey, taste is subjective to each of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 14, Slipknot with Iowa.
Okay.
That amazing record, man.
Amazing.
I've told this story before. You know, I remember when I worked at Kmart and this record came out and I bought it and I had my CD man and I was on the receiving dock on lunch listening to it, just like blown away. And like, I'm like, shit, I got to clock back in, man. But nah, this is getting another spin because I just had to.
Do you remember they played, they debuted the Heretic Anthem. I think it was on Conan. It was on like a late night show in the middle of the week over the summer. Because I was at my girlfriend at the time's place. They were all singing happy birthday to one of her roommates who just got home from work. And I'm like, guys, shut the fuck up. And I have the volume all the way up, trying to watch Slipknot just melt Conan's face. It was amazing.
Oh, and then of course
Conan's song.
And then like Max Weinberg's son ends up being part of the band.
Which is wild, man.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I didn't even think of that. He's a fucking fantastic drummer, though.
He's great.
Yeah.
I don't think that they lost anything with him coming in the band. He's just as good as Joey, if not better. But Joey is his style of drumming is just amazing, though.
It would seem that he's a little bit thin-skinned, Joey Jordison.
Maybe.
No, I mean, let's be honest here. Al Jurgensen's not nice to anybody. Like he's got to put them through the ringer. But when he told in that autobiography about how they harassed him to the point, they heckled him to the point where he didn't even want to tour with them anymore. And they were like 3 weeks into the tour. Yeah. I'm like, come on, guy, you gotta toughen up. You're in a platinum selling international rock band. Like the guy fucking Al Jurgensen has died like 3 times. He's done heroin with William S. Burroughs, right? I mean, like you got to get some thin skin, buddy.
I know Ross threw fucking planners at you and lit your drums on fire, and you're bitching about fucking him. Come on, dude. Number 15, Cold with 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage.
Okay, I can see that. I love that album. His voice, when he changed his voices, I think it was like album 4. He doesn't do that real low baritone anymore. Mm-hmm. It totally lost me. Those first couple albums are fucking great. Year of the Spider, Self-Titled, and 13 Ways are all great albums.
Absolutely. Yeah, so somebody wrote 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage is a beautiful, heart-wrenching album. Songs like Bleed can make a grown man cry.
Yeah.
I feel like that when you listen to that record, you almost feel like you're watching a commercial that's made to make you cry.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn, it's hitting on every note. Like how
Sarah McLachlan comes off from the side with the ASPCA dog, and you're like, son of a bitch, I'm gonna start crying again.
Did a piece of dust get my eye over here?
Sidebar on that album too. Do you guys remember what song was it that they put on the How to Remember soundtrack?
I can't remember.
That Mandy Moore movie. Hold on a second.
Well, I didn't know that was on a soundtrack.
So, oh boy, let's see if we can find it.
Man, she was a babe back then.
Mm-hmm.
A Walk to Remember. So I remember, it was like I was like, holy shit! Oh, No One was on there.
Okay.
It was like all like this Switchfoot and like Rachel Lampa and like all New Radicals on it, and then there was Cold. No One. And I was just kind of all I could think of was like some like little girl, in Indian style, sitting on her bed, like listening to Switchfoot, and all of a sudden like No One by Cold comes on and just fucks your shit up. And we're like, that's Misery. I want to know what Misery sounds like, and that's what I'm doing right now. Give me more of that. And then goes out and buys 13 Reasons to Bleed on Stage, and
I just noticed that Glassjaw poster on your wall. I love that.
Yeah. That was on that summer 2018 tour, yeah.
Oh, okay. We've got to talk about them before we go.
They're a fave, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll have Shawn on when we do the deep dive of everything you ever wanted to know. We'll have him on.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it. You guys ready for the next one?
Yep.
Number 16. This is one of my favorite records ever. 16, Taproot with Gift.
Yeah, this was one of those bands that came late to the nu metal dance, and they were so. I mean, his voice is great. The song, I mean, I went back and listened to this not too long ago, and what caught my ear was the song structures, in the sense that they were all unique, and it wasn't the same song 12 times on an album. Like they were all really enjoyable.
We did an AMA with them on the 20th anniversary of the album. And it was Steven and the guitarist. Let me see if I can bring it up right now.
Like Jay said before about what's that album you said you could? The Crazy Town record. I could sing every fucking song on that record right now.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, it's a classic up there, and which is actually very surprising. It wasn't even mentioned for the 50 Essentials.
Really?
Huh?
Yeah, not once. That wasn't even posted. I was like, wow. All right.
Wait. How did it make it to the list then?
Did it make it to the list? I don't even think it's on there.
What? Yeah, the record we're talking about.
Essential? Gift? Yeah.
I thought we were talking about Crazy Town.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That, Sean, I'm not surprised. I'm not, because that's one of those things where I put that on and everybody goes, "This is fucking Crazy Town." I had friends over doing my deck, and we went from Dead Guy, and we went from all like Beneath the Massacre to The Urge. And then it was Crazy Town. I think it was Crazy Town. And my one buddy, Dan, goes, "This is fucking Crazy Town. Like, turn this shit off. It's terrible." I'm sorry. I fucking love it. Whatever.
There's a quote from Steven from Taproot where he says, "Hey, Steven, we watched Office Space every day making this one." And then I was like, clearly this album is influenced by the pent-up rage of Milton. And he's like, he's got the same name as me. So the actor that plays Milton is Stephen Root. The lead singer of the band is Stephen Root.
That's pretty wild.
Okay.
That is pretty wild.
Yeah, that's a record I can listen to nonstop. I love that.
Yeah. And that it was almost made to just fuck shit up. Like some of the intros in that were like, this is the song where I want people to punch each other.
Definitely. Yeah, this is a record where the cool metal kids are like, "Oh, shit sucks."
Yeah.
But it's hard as hell, so stop it. All right, number 17, Kitty with Spit. I have mixed emotions on this record. Some days I like it, some days I go, "Man, this is so generic."
It's not bad. Did you watch that documentary? Didn't you, Tim? We talked about that?
I did. Yep.
I watched it too, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. They were
kids. I think that's the way
they were kids. They literally were kids.
Yeah. And to put out something like that, you can't help but being a little impressed by that. And it was female representation in a genre that otherwise was...
It was all dudes and Jenkos,
was all white dudes mostly, aside from your, Seven Dust and everything. But yeah, it was, you were, and then you are watching the documentary, which was kind of nice. And then also doing the AMA with them, that we asked, like, "Hey, was there ever a time you guys felt uncomfortable?" And they were like, "No. Like, everyone treated us with respect. No one hit on us. They all kind of took us under their wing and showed us the ropes and let us kind of like avoid some of the things. They're all like friends and fatherly figures." I was like, wow, that's like a testament.
Surprising
for a genre that gets a lot of flack for its
misogyny. Right?
Yeah. And there were these four girls that were like, teenagers. Some were underage at the time, and they're just, tearing it up, and they're around mostly dudes. And they were just like, yeah, I got no complaints. Everyone was really respectful.
I mean, if you think about it, it would kind of be like having your little sister on tour, right? You'd want to show her the ropes. Right?
They treated
it. So young. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know you keep saying AMA, and before I sound like an asshole, I just want to know. I know it's Ask Me Anything, but how exactly is that done? Is it video, or is it like a kind of like a? How exactly is that done?
So they jump on and they create a profile.
Okay.
So for instance, I think with Tala, they had a shared account. So they would go on as band members and introduce themselves and say like, "Hey, it's, Justin, and then answer the question that anyone posts." So we just create a thread. Either the band will create it, which I always suggest because it lets them know when someone's actually asking a question. Or what I'll do in the 20th anniversary ones, I'll create the thread. Excuse me. And then I'll send them the link and say like, "Hey, just check in every once in a while and throughout the day and answer questions at your own leisure, and that's it. So I mean,
it's basically just replies on Reddit.
It's a Q&A. It's a fan
Okay.
Q&A, strictly that fan Q&A with these guys, and they get to kind of interact with everybody.
So it's no audio. It's just basically typing.
No, it's text. Text response.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure before I sound like an asshole in the future.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you'll find a different way to sound like an asshole, Tim.
Exactly. Number 18, Spine Shank with the Height of Callousness. A fucking great record.
So I don't know if I would put Height of Callousness above the self-titled. Strictly Diesel. I'm sorry, Strictly Diesel.
Wow.
I think Height of Callousness is expertly produced, right? It's very crisp. It's very clean. Was
that Garth?
Yeah, it's Guga Garth.
Yeah.
Which
that's a white whale. By the way, AMA white whale, Garth. I want to.
Which I did not know that the reason why he has his nickname is because he actually has a stutter. That's why they call him Guga Garth, because he has a stutter. I listened to an interview. I think it was with Ryan Rainbow.
Yeah, Meet Me.
on Meet Me, and Garth, he joked about it's because I have a stutter, and it came out it's because I have a stutter, and I was like, Jesus, that's two on the nose there. I think Height of Callousness has some great songs. I think the first 3 or 4 tracks are perfect, but I really, really, really like Strictly Diesel. I think and Tim knows this, Shawn, I'm a big B-side guy. I think what bands put on their B-sides is very indicative of their talent, because if your B-side is just straight trash, I know you were just flailing in the studio, where bands that bury some gems on the B-side, to me, it's like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. And I think it was track 6 and then track 8 and then the last track on Strictly Diesel, I still think are great songs. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I would have put that one earlier, but I'm also old, so who knows?
Yeah, you are pretty old.
Those like evolution of industrial into nu metal type record, where like they nailed it. It's so good. But yeah, you're right. I think this was more accessible, which was probably why it was voted higher.
Yeah, definitely. Number 19, Disturbed with the Sickness.
They always deny that they're nu metal, but that album was an Ozfest band. Yep. If you put them in a playlist with Drowning Pool and Head PE and Flaw, it wouldn't feel out of place at all.
Not at all. No. Mm-hmm. You're 100% correct on that. I mean, not maybe their latest record, which I don't know what it is, is probably just radio rock at this point, but that record is definitely nu metal. I mean, he was doing all that shit he did with the lyrics or being the vocals. That's a nu metal trend right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that's one of those like classics that I think, I don't know if anyone, if let's say someone's combing through the essential list and then they're going through all the albums and they get to Disturbed. They're like, it's kind of like a movie where it's got all those famous scenes and you're just like, oh, I understand that reference now. That's Down with the Sickness. That's what Stupefy. But then I don't know if it's an album everyone's going to go back and return to and be like, this is a favorite.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, number 20, Chevelle with Wonder What's Next.
See, I never considered these guys a nu metal band.
We got a lot of pushback on this one. It was like one that I had to take off because I was like, but it got so many votes that I was like, I guess. I think it maybe is a representation of the Tool side of nu metal.
Yeah, like it was Chevelle and Godsmack, and even to a point Disturbed. I never considered them. Creed, right, can easily get lumped in. That's more like jock rock, cock rock than nu metal.
Yeah,
like there's that. If you picture the Venn diagram, it's pretty thin, that overlap. So I can see it, but at the same time, when I think nu metal, I don't think Chevelle. I just don't.
Yeah, I think maybe with that the year that album came out, and then them being with I forget who they're touring with at the time.
Was it Saliva?
I don't know, but they were getting lumped into a lot of those wind up, record, albums and put on the Scream soundtracks and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
bands that were essentially nu metal. You had Dope and System of a Down and all that kind of stuff on there. And they would be like, what about Chevelle? Man, let's put them on there. They got catchy songs, and they'd throw the Red in there on the soundtrack. I think they probably get it's kind of like if someone's going through the essentials and then they're like, oh, I really like Chevelle. Where else can I find stuff like this? I would
I guess
go down Breaking Benjamin Boulevard, go down Pulse Ultra Road, and then you can come back and then we'll talk.
Right.
21 Papa Roach Infest. Is this their first record?
Yes.
That's their first record, and I'm surprised at how low it is.
I am too.
Yeah, because that was really like everybody loved that stupid thing. Yeah.
That felt like almost as popular as that Linkin Park record.
And
it
you
doesn't
can't
have as many
deny.
bangers. Blood Brothers is also like one of my favorite songs from the genre, but it's just it's a skater record. I don't know. I think of skating when I hear that.
And you can't deny how catchy that guitar riff is in that lead-off single. I forget what the song was called.
The Last Resort?
Yeah. You can't deny how catchy that guitar lead part is. It's just a catchy ass part.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what hooks people is shit like that, you know? So it doesn't surprise me how big of a record it is and how big of a band they are right now, you know?
Yeah.
Jacoby's a great singer too.
And I have heard interviews that talk about like he's a really nice guy apparently. So you know.
Yeah. No, I think they just put out a documentary with Vice about that song, but like The Last Resort and how it. I haven't watched it yet, but I hear it's really interesting about how, at that time, at that age, like how that song came together.
Well, I gotta write that down to check out.
Yeah.
So it's just a Papa Roach thing on Vice.
There's a Papa Roach thing on Vice on YouTube. I'll probably watch it at the same time you guys are watching it after this thing's over.
Yeah, I'll probably put it on right after this. That's funny. All right, I put that in my notes. Number 22, Linkin Park with Meteora.
I really like this album. As much as I like the first album, I think this album it was almost like they went in the studio and said, you know what, guys, let's do the same thing that we did before, but a little bit more radio friendly and a little less electronic influence. And they all just went, okay, we'll give it a shot.
I think it was definitely a sign of maturity.
Yeah.
And it matured with their fans, and they were just kind of like, we want something that's kind of with us. And then that audience that got sucked up into that album, they're like, it's almost like an Incubus thing where like signs to make yourself. They were trying to grow up with their fans, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened with that album. And
Make Yourself, what a great album. Like what a great, beautifully written, a band that was, I don't know if they were trying to get on the radio, but almost every single one of the songs on that album could have been on the radio and it would have been a fucking hit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a great record. Not better than Science in my opinion, but it's a great record.
Well,
Number 23
was kind of, Tim, you know, I talked about this all the time, right? The coolest thing about Nu-Metal is there were no rules. Like you could integrate like a didgeridoo, which they do in the opening song of Science, and it just fit. And I don't know. I just think I love Science, but I think Make Yourself is just them leaping forward into mainstream inadvertently, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's Brandon getting the most pussy of all time record.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? I would take his like third string toss-offs, you know? Right? Like the fat friend of the fat friend. I bet you she's still really hot.
Holy shit.
Jesus, I'm never getting hired again. I got to tell you this one.
That was so fucking good. Number 23, Flaw with Through the Eyes.
I don't remember this. Was this their second album?
First.
This is the one with the comeback?
I thought their first record was Medicate.
Maybe it was.
Yeah, isn't their first record Medicate?
This is the album that had the song that was on Triple X's soundtrack, right? Here we go again. Was that this album?
I can't remember.
This was their first major label. They had a CD that was self-released and a cassette tape, but Through the Eyes was the one that put them out in front. And then I think Triple X.
Payback. That's the song. That's the song I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Payback. Yeah. So Payback was the one that was everywhere. I remember getting a compilation CD and of like album, bands like, and nu-metal bands, and Flaw. That one was the one where I was like, yeah, this one is constructed to be a hit.
Yeah.
See, I always think the song Medicate is the record title. It's Endangered Species. My bad.
Oh, that's the second.
Yeah, that is a fucking great record. That song Medicaid is one of my favorite songs in the genre.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, and then they're still kicking, and it's with drama mixed into there every once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Stealing songs and shit.
Oh gosh.
Is that what we're talking about?
I think they were stealing songs. Well,
Yeah, didn't the guitar player get accused of stealing riffs and shit from YouTubers and stuff? Yeah.
Come out, yeah.
That's crazy. Number 24, Head PE with their self-titled.
God, I love that record so much. I was listening to that.
It holds up really well. I don't care what anybody says.
So much fun.
Oh yeah, it is.
Album, yeah. He's just like, and if you really think of the history of Jared and how he, like, I think what was it? We had a thread going like, who's the oldest lead singer or in nu metal right now? And we looked it up, and Jared's far and above the oldest out of all of them. But if you think back, it's because Jared was in a band previously than that. He was like 35 or 36 when like these albums were coming out, you know?
Jesus, I didn't know that. That's wild.
So like he was in a freaking disco band for 5 or 6 years, you know? And then he's like, fuck this. Starts a nu metal band with mixing all his favorite genres like metal and reggae and everything else. And
that first album still holds up well. I even think Broke has some really great. It was Bartender on Broke.
Broke was Bartender.
Yeah,
that album's great too.
Yeah, there's some really good tracks on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really a band I got into that much, but I'm gonna go back and listen to all that this week. All right, so we're at the halfway point. Deftones, White Pony. Like I said before, we all know my opinion on this, but amazing fucking record. Probably the best record ever made, in my opinion. So I love that it's on here, though. So
I love that it's on here because I feel like it's an exit. It's almost like, here's if you want to know where the out was, this was the out. This was the as they started to kind of like go away. If you want to know, if you want to pick up where they left off and start going down that rabbit hole, here you go. This is where it all ends.
Yeah. Is this their
back to school is like a farewell letter to their attachment to it.
Is this their opus? Is that the word we can associate with this record?
Yeah, this is the album that they will always be perennially known by.
They would admit that too, I believe.
And I feel like this year, for some reason, it's got so much hate for some reason. Like a lot of people are like, I went back and listened to it because of the 20th reunion or 20 years it's been out, and it's just not that good. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
I can't.
If you're a fan of that band and if you can say that, I can't comprehend it either. It's just, it's so well written. It's just, it's a time, and you know what? No, let's just go to number 26 because I'm going to get mad.
Emotional.
Exactly, yeah. 26, Static X with Wisconsin Death Trip. Dude, I went back and listened to this record because the new record coming out. Fucking goddamn, it's such a good record.
Wow, yeah. Like every song, like just blows up right away.
Yeah, man. There's a track. There's a track on the end of the record. I'm sorry.
No,
There's a track on the end of the record. I forget what it's called, but it has like this drony this drony feel to it, and it just goes on. And I fucking listened to it like 9 times in a row. I gotta look it up what it was, but I was just blown away of like, dude, why haven't I listened to this record in so long? It's just so fucking good.
December is the one, yeah.
I'm gonna look up the track, but go ahead.
But yeah, they were I think that 1999 when that album came out, with that System of a Down debut and like everyone putting out albums in that year, it was I remember being in high school during that and having Wisconsin Death Trip, System of a Down's debut, and like Slipknot's debut in constant rotation in my little Discman. And I was like, this doesn't get any better. I don't know how this doesn't get any better. Like all 3 of these right now. Like, oh man. And they were all different. All 3 of them. So, and it's like you said, like with nu metal, there were no rules. This was a band that was clearly in just, industrial influence, but you had trip hop and you had the songs were tight. And they were like, he knew how to write, Wayne knew how to write songs, and they weren't like overly long or meandering. They were like, Push It was just perfect radio hit.
Yeah.
And it didn't, on paper, it didn't make any sense, but as soon as you heard it, you're like, oh yeah.
You're right. But most nu metal on paper makes no sense. We're going to take 8 dudes and we're going to put them in jumpsuits and masks. And we're going to have a DJ and a sampler guy and 2 guys dragging on kegs. And you read that and you go,
out of my office.
Yeah.
That track is called The Trance is the Motion. It's number 11 on the record.
Trance is the Motion.
It has like this, what I would call alarm clock riff in it. Like if you're familiar with like Disembodied and stuff, like it has just this dissonant like part in it, and I just listened to it over and over and over. I was mowing the lawn one day and I was just like, go back to that one. It's the fucking amazing record, man. And it's just, I'm so glad we got that new one, because that record was
so good.
I can't stop talking about how good it was. I think during our best of, I was just like drunk, just like, dude, this fucking record, like this did so good, and they're just looking at me like, all right, man, we get it, we get it. Number 27, Head PE with Broke.
I think this was kind of like we were talking about with Limp Bizkit, the fun side of nu metal, and them being veterans at their very tightest. This album was a way of saying, like, they took the fun part of hip hop and they were like, let's see if we can do the same thing with this. And it's such a random record too. He's talking about like, fucking girls backstage, and then all of a sudden, like a few tracks later, he's talking about killing himself. And then at the end of the album, you have bloopers, like album bloopers. So it's just like it's strange, but it's just a fun album to listen to. I don't know. I go back to it. It's too bad on the Spotify it's censored, so you have to go to their greatest hits to hear to some of the other albums, the other songs. But it was, I think, when you had like Feel Good, and they had Kitty and and Surge on there from System of a Down. They knew what this album was. They knew what they were guesting on. They were like, this is a party album. Then let's fucking party.
Yep.
I just added both them records to my Apple Music, but I just realized they put a record out in 2020.
They did. The class of 2020.
Oh, was it good?
It was fine. Head PE is basically Head PE is basically Jared's project right now.
Yeah, it's just him.
And he and he's very much into conspiracy theories, and then very topical about stuff he talks about. But when he knows how to, he's, like I said, he's a veteran of not only nu metal, but of funk and all these other genres. So you can tell by listening to that record, he's a pro. I don't know if it was for me, but there were definitely some fun songs on there.
I'll check that out as well. All right, number 28, one of my favorite records in the genre, Soulfly, self-titled.
You guys just went through this one, didn't you?
Yep.
I did.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I do think Soulfly maybe should have been a one and done. They should have done an album and then moved on to something else, because
we need a sizzle sound effect for that one.
Talk about law of diminishing returns, right? Like Primitive had a couple of good tracks, but after that, like 3, it just I think it was lightning in a bottle. He was coming off Sepultura. Nu metal was hitting. He knew how to do drop tuning. He was, he had Sharon Osbourne in his ear. He had Gloria in his ear. They got all the nu metal, cast of characters to be guests on the album. They put out that first album, and then it's like, okay, the second album is Back to the Primitive. Okay, we got a couple of those songs. We got some more didgeridoo, and then it's like, okay, we're back to kind of beating a dead horse. I don't know. In hindsight, I just think it should have been maybe a one and done, maybe a two and done.
I agree. Some of them records are hard to listen to, man.
I mean, because that's self-titled. What was it, Tim? 17 tracks, 16 tracks? It's a long
it's
album.
up there.
Oh,
by the end of that one. Yeah.
You're just am I listening to the live version now? What's going on? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Japanese Digipack 20th anniversary Sean's talking about. It was like 2 discs. It was like 87 tracks, right?
Yeah.
I know by the end of that dive, we were like, Jesus Christ, another track.
Just a remix now. Yeah.
I know, right? Number 29, one of my favorite bands in nu metal, 40 Below Summer with Invitation to the Dance.
God, it sounds like they were like recorded in a mental asylum. Like it's just such a spastic, fantastic album.
Yeah, it is. And somebody wrote an essential nu metal listen. Absolutely. People listening, go listen to that record. It's fucking incredible.
These guys never really resonated with me because I think at this point I was coming out of nu metal when they started to make their ascension.
Mm-hmm.
And I have heard a couple songs. I'm like, okay, it's not bad, but I have never actually dug in. I probably should go back and dug in.
You should, man. I'm gonna send you essential tracks of that band you need to listen to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think they're a band that, like, as they started to put out more albums, they were trying to find their footing of what they wanted to do. And I think Max really wanted to be melodic a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't know if that was his strong suit. Max's strong suit is when he loses his fucking mind. And those later albums, he starts to a little bit. I don't know if the band is able to keep up with him, but that album, everything just works together. And you see the mania. And it's just it's great.
It's really fucking good. All right, number 30. I went back and listened to this record this year, probably in the late fall. Dry Kill Logic, The Darker Side of Nonsense. Perfect fucking record.
I fucking love this album. We have to deep dive on this one. It's a long album. There's the songs where Cliff actually sings, it actually sounds really good. He's got a voice.
Mm-hmm.
I love this one. I really, really love this album.
Me as well. I love all their stuff.
This was I was at Best Buy. It was on an end cap. It was a Roadrunner Records. It was all the stuff on their label. And I took a flyer on it because it was on Roadrunner. And I was like, holy shit, this is fucking great. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
I got into them. They're local from where I am. Okay. And I got their demo CD when they were Hinge.
Okay.
All right. So I listened to it, and there's like 2 songs. I was like, well, it was pretty good. Yeah. And it's like raw studio, kind of like if I was in a basement or something like that. Then I saw them open for Typo Negative and as Dry Kill Logic. And I was like, I know these songs. And immediately I was like, what the fuck? Like something happened. It's like, it was like they transformed to something. Like they went on to the second form after like their chrysalis just grew wings and just fucking took off. They have a way. It's just a perfect representation of how like beautifully ugly this record is.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that they have a way of making nu metal sound metalcore, but not metalcore. You know what I mean? Like they have like, especially in the newer songs they put out, like they have the moshier parts.
Yeah.
But then they go right back to the formula, and I fucking love it, man.
Yeah.
Great fucking band. With that is somebody who I want to interview so bad is talk to them dudes.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
We definitely got to work on that. 31 Nonpoint with Statement. I like this band, but this is not a record.
Which album was this one? What number was this?
I think this was.
This is their second.
Two. Yeah.
Two. This is the one.
I think Recoil is their best record, but this is a good record.
Recoil is their tightest, but like this is the one where you have What a Day, which is like such a classic song.
It is that's definitely a classic right there. But Recoil, I must have listened to that record like 60,000 times. It's just so fucking good.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
That's another essential record people need to check out listening to this. 32 American Head Charge, The War of Art.
Yeah. I don't know. I love how this one sounded kind of you could tell that these were not guys you wanted to know personally, but you were all right with the distance, which you kind of like heard how this album was like portrayed on record. It was just gross and dirty and just in your face. A lot of the tracks were about just I don't care, like this is like who I am, like be prepared for what you're about to deal with, like never get caught and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's what turned, like, I think Sean Cron was producer on that record, or he was involved somehow.
I think so, yeah.
And I think that's what that turned him on to that, because I was like, these guys look like they need help. If we can just tighten them up, take them out on tour, and then of course those guys had tons of drama. I think their lead singer went to jail or something.
I can't remember. Probably.
It sounds about right. Yeah.
Someone's gonna correct me on this. Someone's gonna hear this podcast and then
start yelling at the radio.
Yeah. Like,
somebody Google it so we don't sound like assholes.
But yeah, that was a record that it resonated with me because it felt like something I shouldn't be hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, number 33. This is one of my favorite bands of all time. Nothing Faced with Violence.
Yes, very good one. That one turned 20 this year too.
That the second? That was the second album, right?
Third.
So the second one was an audio guide to everyday atrocity. Was that the second one? Or the first one?
Well, I think they had Pacifier first, right?
Pacifier, yeah, that was the first one. Yeah, the second one's the one that I read.
Audio guide.
Yeah, an audio guide to everyday atrocity.
Nothing Faced, and then Skeletons.
Yeah, Skeletons, another great record. But Violence, man, Matt is one of the best. He was one of the best vocalists of all time. One of the best lyricists. Just all around great band. I even like some of the Hell Yeah stuff, just for fuck's sake, man. Like, it's catchy shit, man. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh yeah, you can tell they're having fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's his name is like we said before, is an incredible vocalist, Chad Gray. Just great vocalist. There's I can't wait till we get to the end of this so I can say how many records I can't believe aren't on here. Number 34, Stain with Break the Cycle.
This was someone made a comment about this. They were like, why this?
Yeah, that's their second album, right?
That's their second album. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you could call them their second.
Yeah, because the original one is lost to the sands of time, right? Like the first album to me is always going to be Dysfunction, right? That was their major label debut. Yeah, this is where they got more radio friendly. Good for them, but I still like Dysfunction. Fuck, man, I need more vodka.
Well, somebody said it crashed the pop charts with maybe the lowest tuning drop G minor to ever hit the top 10, which is kind of
yeah, true.
Holiday Kirk going at it again, telling us all this good shit. So shout out to him, man.
Good old Kirk.
Yeah, great record though. Number 35, Incubus with Science.
Yeah.
So good. I don't know what else to say about that one. It's just such a fun album to listen to.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a summer record. Like you put it on a nice sunny day and you're like, yeah.
It's driving music.
It's driving.
And the hidden track at the end. It's all the samples, and Mr. Miyagi, I paint your house, I wash your cars, and the guy's crying like, "Oh no, Daniel Simon!" Like it's them acting out Karate Kid. I lose my mind every time.
My friend used to put that record on at a billiards in our hometown, and he would put in as many chords as it took to play every song off Science, and then by the time it got to the last song and it goes through that whole thing. After it plays Calgon and it goes into that secret part, everyone else in the billiards like, what the fuck? Like, how do we turn it off? Because it was like, it was just, like you said, Karate Kid and all that kind of shit.
The Karate Kid!
Meanwhile, we're all like laughing, like 17, laughing our asses off, drinking our freaking Cokes and shit, yeah.
Speaking of Karate Kid, I watched that whole new season last night in one sitting. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Number 36, Primer 55, Introduction to Mayhem. This is a band that I listen to, and I'm just like, I can't do it.
This to me is too stereotypical.
As like what angry white guy stuff?
Well, it's the nu metal stereotype. If you ran it through one of those weird mad scientist distillation machines and distilled it, this is what you would end up with.
This is right. There's the four guys. Hey, what's up? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
get
like
loose.
Yeah. Watch these fuckers jump when I get loose. And I put them in the
frosted tips and all that kind of stuff. They're like,
ball chains.
Get out of here.
Yeah, ball chain necklace and the long
fucking
wallet.
Studded belts and shit.
Yeah. These guys, I automatically, if I close my eyes, I picture them and Reveille being the same person. Like the same band where they just put on masks and they play as someone else because it's I mean it's for what it was, it's not bad. I mean, they got pretty famous, they did some decent tours, but it's just not anything to remember.
I don't think Introduction to Mayhem is a good way to remember Primer 55. I think the new release is a great way because that they talk about domestic abuse. They get a little bit more esoteric in their lyrics. But this one, they were clearly like, I like what Limp Bizkit's doing. I like what these guys are doing.
That. Yeah.
Let's just have some fun, you guys. And then they went out and did their thing. And it resonated with people for whatever reason. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, 37, Unloco with Healing. I'll be the first to admit I don't even know what this record sounds like.
Yeah,
so you guys can.
So I could not believe it was on there. Absolutely. Like it blew me away. And I was just like, I don't think I've even heard a single song off this. How am I an admin here if I don't know them? So as soon as they showed up, I went and I listened to it, and it's not bad. It's really, it's a pretty rough record, and I would say if you it's something if you want to work out to, it's something you put on, and go on hard in the treadmill or lift weights to. But classic, essential, I definitely don't know about that, but it got a lot of upvotes, and I after hearing it, I was like, all right, I guess so, but there's somewhere somebody hit,
really liked it,
and then some people agreed, so it's on there.
I'm adding it to Apple Music now. That will be in my list for the week. Number 38, the best Cold Chamber record, Chamber Music.
Yeah, this is where they came into their own.
Yeah.
Yes. Jay hates the cover song so bad.
Oh, Shock the
Monkey?
Oh, I love it. Dude, that record's great, man.
Didn't we do an episode on covers and remixes?
We
did. Yeah,
did.
we did. Oh.
Did we release that yet?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, people are gonna hate that one.
Yeah. Do we have any quotes on Peter and like what he thought of that?
No. There's no quotes under this one.
Peter Gabriel for the people who don't know that Cold Chamber covered Peter Gabriel for Shock the Monkey, and Jay thinks he ruined it.
Oh,
he despises it. He hates it almost as much as Supercharger.
Yeah.
No, I think I can't wait till we do the Supercharger deep dive, because you're going to make a drop for Rob Flynn doing the
I am.
And we're just going to hit that at random intervals during the episode.
Yeah, because we're going to do that one together in the same place. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go to number 39. I couldn't wait to get to this one because it aggravates me that it's on this list. And Fear Factory with Obsolete. This is not a nu metal record. I'm sorry.
I think it kind of comes close to one. I think it's where you can consider that a nu metal record. I can. The fact that there is loud verse and sung chorus, right? Or sung verse, loud chorus, right? Which is a nu metal archetype. The fact that there is a decent amount of singing on this album. The fact that the sampling, where you, Tim, are coming at it from a metal band that adds industrial influence.
Yeah. Nu
metal kids can see this as, oh, well, this is just a band where instead of having a DJ or a didgeridoo, they have, some sampler guy like Reese Fulber. So I can kind of sort of get it. And plus it came out in that time. It was 98?
Yeah.
Was it 98? I think it was Obsolete. Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I mean, this was a better nu metal experiment than, again, Supercharger or
what was the
Diabolus and Musica. I knew it. Tom Arias, my favorite rapper. Yeah.
But this was like you said, this was an otherwise industrial specific band that was like, let's try this out. This seems fun. This seems to kind of hit us Edge Crusher, like the beginning. Like,
yep.
Done, and then it goes right into it. I'm like, and then when I would see nu metal shows at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, Fear Factory was a headliner. They'd bring Spineshank, they'd bring Dracula Logic, they'd bring whoever.
This tour was this is the one where they got their shit stolen in Philly. It was at the Troc. It was Fear Factory, System of a Down, Spineshank, and I want to say Head PE was the other opening band.
Yeah.
And I remember then Fear Factory came back when they got their equipment, and they did 2 nights back to back. So the one night was supposed to be the earlier show, and then it was a new show. And me and my buddy had our original tickets. They rip his, he goes in, they go to rip mine, and they go, oh, well, this is for the other night. This is for tomorrow. And I looked at the guy and went, well, I'm with him, and you just let him in. And the guy just went, oh, fuck, you get my ticket. You just go inside. Were you at that one, Tim, at the Troc? Were you at that show?
I don't remember. A lot of booze back then.
Yeah.
All right, number 40, Machine Head, The Burning Red. Yeah.
Like sometimes when you see this record and you type in Nu-Metal into Google, you see a picture of Rob this Frost with his like hairdo. And you're like, okay, I get it. Yeah.
The most cringe video ever is Dynamo 95 when the whole band's jumping all the time.
Oh, and he's
most
got the
cringe video ever.
He's got the Reservoir Dogs t-shirt that
yes.
is like a 6X on a guy who should be wearing like a medium.
Yeah, they all look at each other and they're like, who can jump higher on this stage? It's the most cringe thing I've ever seen. And I remember I did put this in a group page. Somebody posted, I said, that is the most cringiest video I've ever seen. Someone was like, you're just not a fucking machine.
Right, I got a weird
question. All right,
question.
man, cool.
Dog Eat Dog, Nu-Metal?
Fuck no.
Shawn?
Hell no.
Dog Eat Dog? Are you talking about the song?
No, the band. Isms, All Side Kings, All Borough Kings.
Oh, nah.
Nah?
No way. So,
because they were
Joe
the same
Hardcore
time.
would slap you for that one.
I mean, they were the same time, right? They were Biohazard. They were, that was.
But I think that
Head.
they fall into the same categories like Downset, where Downset was bringing new metal bands on with them, but it's like we just put Body Count on one of our new metal playlists, but we only did it almost because they're part of they're like an appendage. They're not the whole body, So I think Dog Eat Dog, Downset, Body Count, even like H Block X, all those guys. Like, yes, there's rapping, yes, there's guitars, but it's not there yet. Yeah,
definitely. All right, 41, and I cannot believe this record made it over the other one. Seven Dust with Animosity. I'm like aggravated.
Animosity, isn't that their third album or fourth album?
That's their third album. That got a lot of pushback, but I think it's also because no one was putting the other albums up, and I didn't.
That's crazy.
I didn't put anything up because I was like, all right, I'm gonna let everyone else take care of this. Put their albums up with it. They want to. It's gonna be community. I don't want moderator influence on here. So when I saw Animosity, I'm like, it's only a matter of time before someone puts Home or Debut or whatever, and it never got up there, whether or not people thought that they was up there or not. We're gonna do the same thing next year. I'm gonna just re-up it, and that way people can be like, can get a second chance to go through it. But I mean, I love Animosity. There's so many great songs on that thing.
There is.
But the fact that Home's not even on there, and much less like over Animosity, it's confusing.
It's blasphemy. That is a top 10 record for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it's you know what? So next year we'll have to get you back on for the next top 50. All right, number 42. This is the best Mudvayne record in my opinion. The End of All Things to Come. That is a flawless record to me.
That's so good.
Jay, stop it. Stop it.
No, they lost me with this one.
Wow, dude.
They lost me with this one.
I can't even fathom these.
But again, when I go back to this stuff, I think about where I was at the time, right? I was just getting into the working world. I was getting more into like hardcore. This came out, and I think about at the same time that Poison the Well got big, Lamb of God got big, God Forbid got big. So Every Time I Die put out not Hot Damn, the one right before that, Last Night in Town. So I think my tastes were changing at this point, because I remember buying it and going, and then it went on the pile.
Okay.
You're going to find that my audio is a little weird right now because I had to unplug this thing.
No, you're good. No, you sound fine.
Yeah, you sound good.
But if I'm good, all right, good. Yes, no, I remember when this album came out, I have to agree with Jay a little bit. I was just like, yeah, it's not LD50. Like, holy shit. That's it's kind of like I don't know if you guys are into Radiohead at all, but it was like King of Limbs when I was just kind of like, nope, it's not in Rainbows. Sorry, guys. None.
Check. Moving along. Yep.
I like OK Computer. It's a good one.
They have their first couple were great, and then they kind of got weird for getting weird sake, and that's where they lost me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You're like almost like, how many people can we lose?
Yeah.
You still with us? Shit. Yeah.
Number 43, POD with Satellite. I have to listen to it again.
See,
I
POD
feel like
was one of those
POD
bands
had to
where
be on there in some form or another. So I'm okay with Satellite, I guess.
every album they have 2 or 3 good tracks. The first album was Rock the Party and Southtown. The second album was Alive and Satellite and Youth of the Nation. So every album may have a couple of good songs.
I think well they sold so many records at the time. They still are going strong, you know.
Yeah.
And I think they had to be on there some form or another. So almost like at 43 seems fine. Of course, my favorite is Fundamentals of Southtown. Or was it? Is that how it?
Yeah.
Or my
Fundamental Elements of Southtown. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw that on there, I was like, all right, well, at least they're on there. They had this representation of just kind of like, if I want my kids to listen to nu metal, I'll have them listen to Youth of the Nation and Satellite and Alive and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So.
Okay. All right, number 44. This is another essential nu metal record, Moto Grader, self-titled.
I was waiting for Moto Grader to show up.
Absolutely incredible record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's What is it? Do you have the quote on there that someone put?
Yeah, Moto Grader's self-titled debut, an absolute must-hear for fans of the industrial side of nu metal, and Ivan Moody as a vocalist blends seamlessly with the music. Great screams and great clean singing all around. Sucks they didn't get big. That was from Giraffe.
Oh yeah, I forgot that that the cheese ball from Five Finger Death Punch sang for them. I forgot about that.
But that's when they were at their tightest.
Yeah.
Like, and then when that album came out in 2003, they were just there at when the wave of nu metal was crashing, you know, and they weren't able to kind of ride as if they were riding it with, you know, back in 99 or 2000 with everyone else where it was rising up. They would have been stratospheric. They would have been just one of those guys.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I think they fell victim to the unfortunate just march of time.
You're 100% correct. 45, Breaking Benjamin, We Are Not Alone. I love this band.
I think Diary of Jane is their best album.
I do too, but I love this band.
Yeah, I was it was one of those albums where like the Chevelle record, where I was like, all right, this is a part of nu metal that people argue about constantly. We always have arguments on here about them, but they have elements, a lot of songs, elements of nu metal, and this is one of those albums that I think need to be on there.
Definitely. All right. I'm going to combine 46 and 47 because they're both Mushroom Head records. Number 46 is XX and 47 is 13. I'll just go ahead and say it. Mushroom Head's 13. That was the pick I put on the Nu Metal Reddit. I think that record is perfect front to back. That is one of my favorite bands ever in any genre. There's just something about that band that just I fucking love, and that record is perfect.
Yeah, I'm happy that XX, because XX was the one that introduced me to them. So like it is kind of like a way for it, like a good introduction for people who are like, all right, I've gotten this far. Wow, this is fucking different. And then they move on to XX, free, and they're like, hallelujah. Yeah.
Is it 13 or is it X3?
I want to go 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but that Jay, I told Jay a million goddamn times.
I still
listen to the fucking record is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of them records. If I'm sitting there and I'm like, I need something to listen to, instantly I go to that record. It's just fun record. It's just, oh man.
But they're
another
like,
record. People listen to the record.
Listen to the record. They're almost genre less, but they somehow got sucked into our thrusters, you know. And thank God for that, because they, more people need to listen to them.
Yeah, and that is a AMA you guys should fucking do. I'm sure it's in your list, but
yeah, yes, absolutely, yeah, especially for their anniversary for XX, like that. I think a good retrospective on all those EPs and all those other albums they had early on. I would love to pick their brain.
Awesome. Please let me know when that happens so I can put mine in there as well.
Yeah.
Number 48, Twisted Method with Escape from Cape Coma. It was this the band with
Twisted Method?
Was this the girl? Was this Jada Pinkett, or was that another
No,
band?
You're thinking
That was Wicked Garden.
Wicked Wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Twisted Method was they like Motor Grader came on the tail end of Nu Metal, and they were
How
young.
did these guys? I got a list here of shit that is not on this list. How did these guys?
Well, I think Twisted Method got stuck in there because it's a band that reminded people of like when Linkin Park was kind of like new and coming out and really hungry for like singles and stuff. But because they were coming on the end in 2003, where you had the Strokes and the Hives and all that kind of stuff coming out, and they look at these guys, and if you go, there's a website, there's the magazine Enemy. It's like a British like
new music, whatever. Yeah,
they stated an article called "Why Nu Metal is the Worst Genre Ever," and their main picture is a promo shot of Twisted Method. And you can kind of understand why they picked that picture, because they look like they're like, duh, and they got the mohawk and their mascara and all that kind of stuff. And they look obnoxious and you're like, oh God, no. But you listen to that record, they're thirsty, and it's like song after song is like catchy and really hits all those Nu Metal mark. And yeah, it resonated with our users, and it's if you like that like dry spell Linkin Park style stuff, the Twisted Method's your band.
All right, I'll go back and listen to it. All right, so 2 more left. 49 Il Nino with Revolution.
Okay, finally. Okay, yeah, they deserve to be on there. Yeah,
they deserve to be on there. I saw them with 40 Below Summer, and they just that Latin. There's so much Latin influence in Nu Metal that people like aren't really aware of. Where you have Puya or all the Sepultura, Soulfly. Il Nino kind of like took that, ran with it, and their own, and they did it so well.
Have you heard Terror Universal yet?
No.
Wow. Okay, that's the drummer from Il Nino. Came out in I believe 2018. It's really fucking good, man. Write that shit down and check it out.
Doing that.
It's
all right. Get
very
through
good.
number 50 so I can yell about all the things that they missed. Keep going.
Number 50, Snot. Get Some.
It should be a capital crime that this is number 50.
Yeah, I agree.
It should be a capital crime. I mean,
maybe
maybe
a capital crime, but I understand why it's number 50, because I think a lot of our user base sometimes are people who like, I like System of a Down, Slipknot, in Linkin Park,
and they're younger. Yeah.
So Snot, and you kind of start to get into the like fog of Human Waste Project and Far and all those guys.
Yeah, they're on my list of how did they not make it, Human Waste Project, right? Because they put out that album with Ross Robinson. That's actually a really good album.
Really, really good. So I think I coughed it up to the fact that like that band never ended up following up with any other records except for, doing that tour they did with Korn not too long ago and everything. And but I think I'm very, very happy that it's on there. I'm hoping that a lot of people check it out.
Me as well.
Yeah.
All right. We're out. It took a while to get through the list. I know everybody's probably tired and stuff, but let's get a couple more things out here. I hope you got a couple more minutes, and then we'll
absolutely, yeah.
Get out.
So I wrote down all the bands that I'm surprised didn't make it. Orgy, surprised they didn't make it.
I was surprised as well with Orgy, but I think what Tim was saying earlier, they're a band that we're not sure if it's a representation.
Yeah, they were gravitationally pulled into that scene without actually representing the scene itself. We just talked about Human Waste Project. I mentioned before Ultra Spank, Factory 81. I'm really surprised Crossbreed did not make this list.
I was just going to say that.
If you take every single Nu Metal stereotype and you put it in a blender, they are the apotheosis of Nu Metal. You just look at a picture of this band and you go, that's a fucking Nu Metal band.
I was going to say, I was like, look up promo pictures of Crossbreed.
It's like the samplers, the white guys in dreads, the glow-in-the-dark tattoos, the makeup. I mean, it was totally of that time. Factory 81, No Puya. No Edema, where they get shit for being Jonathan Davis' younger brother, but they did have their own sound. No Power Man 5000. That first album is so Tokyo. What is it? Is it Tokyo Vigilante?
Well, no. Well, the first album, yeah, it kind of has that kind of like.
It's bonkers. They got the bongo guy. They got the drummer guy.
Yeah.
Mega Kung Fu Radio. That's it.
But tonight, the Stars Revolt. I feel like that was the album that kind of like got in the nu metal. But
yeah,
I'm feeling like our user base kind of went like he's more Rob Zombie.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But for being
it is us,
those of us that were around at the beginning, like they were on the first Ozfest, right? So it was exactly. A natural kissing cousin there. Surprised No Crazy Town. We talked about that. We talked about the Apex Theory. I think Amen maybe could have made it. That first Amen album is solidly in Ross Robinson's wheelhouse. There's a decent bleed there. I mean, if you're going to grab American Head Charge, Amen's not too far off. The Urge is one of the forgotten nu metal bands because they did more of a ska, but I fucking love that album. It's so much fun. The first Lost Prophets album, I would argue, is nu metal. Shinobi versus Dragon Ninja, I would argue that's solidly nu metal. And last but not least, one of my faves, Pitch Shifter, www.pitchshifter.com.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's industrial, but that's nu metal because if you're going to define nu metal as Limp Bizkit, Spring Break, 99, MTV, the two bands they had were Pitch Shifter and Limp Bizkit. So they're can't have one without the other.
Yeah. No, they're up there with your Fear Factory and your Static X.
To your point, Shawn, I'm of the older age bracket, so to me that's going to be a more natural fit. Where to a young user, they'll be, the newest, Mudvayne album.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very surprised I did not see Chimera with Pass Out of Existence.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Sepultura, Roots, Life is Peachy. Come on, man.
Yeah, Roots is a fucking nu metal album. I don't care what anybody says.
Absolutely.
Like, stop the nonsense here. There's just so many. But this is everyone's votes. It's not just Tim and Jay's votes. So, I mean, I get it,
angry old
man.
guys in the basement somewhere in Belco. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not, it's fine, but I just think I'm surprised Dope wasn't on here because they put out decent records.
Yeah. Both, I think those first two Dope records are so like fun, solid, like nu metal records. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, 5.0, I was surprised.
I always forget about that, but yeah.
From Zero, I mean, just
36 Crazy Fists.
Yeah, 36 Crazy Fists.
I mean,
one of my favorite bands ever.
I mean, if you want to talk like a real late third wave nu metal, you're looking at stuff like Full Devil Jacket, the Deadlights, the Workhorse Movement, Godhead, UPO. I mean, and this is like Third Strike, right? This is really going down that rabbit hole of like late nu metal.
Yeah, we had somebody say like Alien Ant Farm Anthology. Why did that not get out there?
I'm glad it didn't. That shit is trash.
That guy's fucking terrible. Their movies.
Yeah, shit's awful, dude. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry, but I hate that guy. I hate that record. I hate that cover. I hate it all.
It's terrible.
Slaves on Dope.
That album was everywhere when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Slaves on Dope. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Those are such great guys too. We did an AMA with them, and they were so cool. You should reach out to them. Those they always want to talk.
Oh yeah, shit. Well, dude, we'll talk to anybody, man.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I want to go through some newer bands real quick, and then we'll let you get out of here because I know it's getting late. Let's talk about Zone Zero. I think they're one of the best bands representing nu metal right now. Jordan is a that dude's a great singer. That band, them and Flashback are right now. I think Flashback's going to be huge if they keep going. I think Zone Zero's new record's going to be huge. I can't wait for both of these.
Yeah, that blew me completely away how good that is. Like, it's really good.
I think that's what drew our user base to them so strongly because I mean, we get a lot of people who come in and are like, hey, check out my new band, and like, here's my YouTube video, here's my Bandcamp page, and all that kind of stuff. And we allow some self-promoting as long as you interact with us. Like, if you don't be
Right. It's not a hit and run. Yeah.
Don't fucking drop your shit and then leave. And then like I check your username and it looks like you've dropped it on every fucking music.
Yeah, you got like 3
Oh,
karma.
it's hip hop and metal and dark metal and gothic and and you're like, nope, spam. Let's get out of here.
Yep.
But when Zone Zero came and dropped their stuff, they, as soon as everyone started listening to it, were like, holy shit. Like, this is that stuff that we listened to back in the day. It's catchy. It's got the vibe. It's able to capture that unique sound that a lot of other people either try to they try to draw influence to it and or they try to completely 100% replicate it, but Zone Zero was able to kind of create this individual sound amongst themselves, and like you can tell just right away, and I'm super proud of them. I'm really hoping for great things from those guys. Looking forward to the new record from them, and they're all great dudes. Huge supporters. They'll jump in here and there, and in our subreddit and everything. And I'm looking at great things from those guys.
And I mean, to think it started out as a one-man band project.
You know, Jordan by
right?
himself doing the guitar and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, the live from the South Side is great, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Virus track, great. Mr.
Virus
Rex
is amazing.
really
That
good.
is one of my favorite songs of the year. Like they.
Yep. That was on my top 10 this year.
Like I was
Yeah, man.
I was like, you guys are just like, you're so tight right now. Like I'm so, oh man, I can't wait.
I've been working on a drum cover of that song, and I'm like, I probably shouldn't record this because I'm just like fanboying them so bad. But every chance I get to tell him that they're great, I just do it because they're just the epitome of great nu metal right now.
Yeah, they made our best EP of the year, and that they deserved it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That Tala record is great. Every time I listen to it, it just gets better.
Oh man.
What's that band you said earlier? I can't pronounce them. Is it Tetra?
Tetrarch, yeah.
Tetrarch?
Yeah.
That is a fucking great record, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I listened to that band 13. I don't know if you heard them yet. They're really good.
Yes. They'll jump on the subreddit too every once in a while.
Okay.
And
have you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And they've figured out their own niche, which is basically almost like this horror movie side of nu metal.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. There's like it's fun in a weird kind of like B movie way. So yeah, it's, if anyone asks for like suggestions, it's definitely one of those bands where I'm like, if you like Slipknot and Mudvayne and Motorgrader and all those guys, like you gotta check out those.
Absolutely. Have you heard Blood Youth?
Yes, I have.
Dude, that record blew me away, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I wish that came out in 2020 because that would have been in my top.
Absolutely.
Fantastic fucking record.
Yeah.
That's a band I want to talk to, but they're from the UK, so it's going to be kind of hard for us. I think 9 p.m. our time is about 3 a.m. their time, so.
Yeah.
So is there, before we go, is there any bands that people should be hearing? I mean, is there, what do you think?
Let's see. Oh, bands that we already talked about Zone Zero and Flashback. Guerrilla Warfare is they have a kind of like a fun side of nu metal that I think people sort of like, a lot of people kind of ask like, all right, I like the these nu metal bands that you guys are suggesting, but like where's the Limp Bizkit-ish? I want that.
Yeah.
So I feel like Guerrilla Warfare kind of like brings in that.
I really like that.
Everybody, like, yeah.
Yeah, I really like those guys. I think we reached out to them to try and get them to come on. No response. Yeah.
Yeah, them and Omerta. Yeah.
Omerta, I really like that last EP
Omerta,
too.
oh my god, they're absolutely, they're a blast. Pigweed is a fun band. Have you checked out Pigweed yet?
Mm-mm.
They Latinish style, that kind of El Nino style stuff, and
okay.
And they're brutal stuff.
Yeah, I just forgot too to mention this. That band that put out that record, Pig Walk. What the hell are they called again?
Stuck Mojo.
That's a band I'm surprised was not on the list.
Oh, yes. Well, I think when we were talking about like bands like Downset too, Stuck Mojo kind of gets stuck in that sometimes too. But Stuck Mojo, not a lot of people know Stuck Mojo. I remember seeing Stuck Mojo with a chance, and it was like friggin' 12 people there, and I'm like, this is like.
Yeah, Pig Walk was an awesome album. Then after that, they totally went like full Raw WWE.
Yeah.
They did the opening music, but yeah, I loved Pig Walk.
Yeah, it's a great record, man. All right. Here's my last thing, and then we will let you go. Give us. I mean, I always get everybody. I do this on my other podcasts. I love doing this. I especially love doing it when we're on video because I get to see your facial reaction.
Oh, great! I can't wait.
Top 5 nu metal records of all time. And there's that face. I knew it was going to happen. I love it.
Oh boy, someone's asking me
I
my
love it.
favorite question. Yeah. I'm top 5. I'm gonna throw one that no one ever really knows, and it's one that I always return to. It's a band called Minus.
Okay.
And they've got brackets around their name. The album was called Structure of Simplicity.
Okay.
And it was put out in 2001. It didn't get any traction from any major record labels, but they felt like they had to put it out in some form or another. So it went out there. They toured with your standard nu metal bands. They were like that Helmet, handsome, Quicksand, but also were inspired by Deftones kind of style music. They even had Jonah from Far at the very last track.
Ooh, there you go, Jay.
But
was this the band from Iceland?
No. So there was another band from Iceland
with Jesus Christ Bobby, which is like totally bonkers. Yeah,
that's a bonkers record. And I remember actually being an idiot and going to Boomless Records in Maine and buying that record and going like, "What the fuck is this?"
It's a fun get, dude. Not even remotely
But I was
close.
like, not even close. So I was like, really good album, and it eventually grew on me. But it's an album that Minus Structure of Simplicity. You got to kind of like go on YouTube to find it. It's not on Spotify. It's not on Apple Music.
Damn it. That's what I'm searching for right now.
But it's on YouTube, and there's rapping. There's screaming. This guy's raw. The whole record from start to finish is fantastic. So I definitely recommend it to people who are kind of like, all right, I got through the top ones. Like, what do I want? So that one's one of them. Obviously, I'm a Deftones fan, so Around the Fur is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Let's see what else. Simon Says is Shut Your Breath. I feel like that one was. They started out as kind of like hey, let's. They're from the Sacramento side with Deftones and Far and Will Haven. They were like, all right, let's put out an album. I don't know whether the record label was like, let's put you on the radio. And then they put an album that was designed to be on the radio, and it sucked ass. And then they were like, all right, well, you're on a 2-album contract, so let's put out another record. So they put out the other record, and it just fucking annihilates. It just steamrolls past anyone. He's like, we're going out like warriors right now. And it just, it's a fireball of an album. So yeah, Simon Says Shut Your Breath is one of my favorites. Factor 81, Mankind.
Mm-hmm.
So good. So good.
Great record.
And then let's see, the other 2 for 5 best, I would say Mudvayne's LD50 and then System of a Down's debut. And I feel like System of a Down's debut is it's part nostalgia because of the fact that I felt like I was on the ground floor of something that was like insane. Like I felt like it was like, this is the Zappa side of nu metal right now.
Yeah. I get it.
And I remember seeing them live, and like it was my first mosh pit I ever been in my life when I was like 17. That has a special place in my heart. I can put that album on at any moment and just be like, sugar, like the whole
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, listen, man. Thank you for the
Sean.
2.5 hours, man.
Oh,
really
yeah. I hope
appreciate it,
everyone
dude.
can. This whole thing is great. Yeah, this was fun. I feel like I could talk to you guys for another 2 hours.
Yeah, that's
absolutely,
the only
man.
downside of these things. We go for 3 hours and we're like, shit, we've been going for 3 hours and we don't even feel like we've scratched the surface on the dialogue we really could have.
Yeah.
No, we really do. We really thank you very much, Sean. Tim, you want me to just take us home?
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Absolutely.
So once again, thanks to Sean for coming on behalf of Sean, Tim, and myself. Thank you all the listeners for sticking with us for 2 hours and 30 minutes of us chatting new metal. Find us on Instagram at newbreed_podcast, at Twitter at newbreed_podcast. The Facebook group is out there at New Breed Podcast. If you'd like our opinion, if you don't like our opinion, you want to tell Tim that he needs to get off Motograder, you want to tell me to shit up my own ass, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. You can find Tim on Twitter at TimLSD. You can find me on Twitter at HorseCow. Once again, I want to thank all of you listeners, and we will see you again soon. Cheers, everybody.
See ya.
Yeah.